Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here. It's Saturday morning, and the Raptors lost the Clippers last night by 20. Very balanced attack by the veterans on the Clippers last night. It's very interesting to look at the box score from last night's game and just see how balanced all of the great Clippers take shots. They all shot right around 14, 13 shots each. Very balanced attack. It's almost like these Clippers guys clock in for different like quarters and they do different things at different times during the game. It's like very early, you may get a lot of Harden. Second quarter, you may get a lot of Westbrook, sprinkle some George throughout the game here and there. And then, Kawhi, he's probably going to step up near the end and start doing amazing things. Yeah, they're good. I think that the thing about the Clippers that people need to realize and talk about right now is they're serious. If they've not been totally serious about winning championships, well, other than Kawhi, on that team with those other guys, Westbrook and Harden, well, I think they will be this year. I'm going to predict something right here that I think the Clippers are going to win the championship this year. I'm serious. There's just a certain type of blend of the team right now is right. And they're working together. That's the scariest thing about it. When you have that kind of Hall of Fame skill in so many different players on your team, and you do have good role players that are fitting in with them around them, people like Plumlee, Tice, Coffee, Terrence Mann, the sky's the limit. I'm serious. I feel like the Clippers on the Western side may be the best team in the league. And they are a very, very serious threat. And if Kawhi Leonard wins a championship with the Clippers, the first ever Clippers championship in their history of their franchise, that's a big deal. That means he's a 3-time champion with 3 different teams, just like LeBron. There's a lot of stuff that LeBron and Kawhi, they can be compared to. And in some ways, Kawhi's injuries have robbed him of being more in the conversation with LeBron James as one of the top best players ever in the league. And it's too bad that Kawhi has had injury problems in his career, because it's crazy. If he had showed up to a lot of the games that he was supposed to play in over the years, who knows where his career totals would be right now? Who knows? So yeah, they're legit. They're serious. They didn't even have Zubac last night. And they've got a lot of the pieces that fit to do this. And that's the thing. They're going to be going up against teams in the playoffs. Let's see if James Harden disappears. Well, if he does, I'm sure Kawhi won't. Let's see if Russell Westbrook makes boneheaded plays in the playoffs. I'm sure that Paul George, well, he might too. I don't know. I'm very curious to see, because it is true. I really do think the Clippers may be the best team in the league right now. Forget about the Celtics. I think it's those guys. I think that if those guys played the Celtics in a 7-game series, they'd beat them. Yeah, because they know how to win better than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yeah, they do. They really do. All right, let's get into the comments and let's just get going on reaction to the Raptors lost to the Clippers last night, 20 points. There's some of this stuff that was interesting is I got feelings and vibes from Kawhi Leonard last night in the Toronto Scotiabank Arena that in some ways whenever he comes back to Toronto, he kind of reviews what his decision was 5 years ago. That in some ways, maybe he does. I don't know. In some ways, we didn't need the last 5 years of his injuries and things like that here. But he's got to wonder what if sometimes. He's really got to. Like sometimes he's got to wonder, what if I hadn't turned my back and walked away on something that was going on here in Toronto? I don't know. Maybe last night may have been one of the times where it dawned on him the most, coming back into Toronto and, seeing the championship banner and seeing like some of the stuff that he remembers from that one year. Maybe the Toronto team being so different from the one that he played on and won a championship with here in Toronto. It may be stark to him. And he's like, wow, look at this team. In some ways, it kind of pisses me off that Kawhi's still on the Clippers and none of our guys are on our team anymore. In some ways, it does. I mean, Chris Boucher is the only guy left from that championship team. And in some ways, that's messed up. That's messed up. Canadian Dana saying, "Good morning, everyone. Let's get ready for this road trip and surprise everyone with at least one win. Let's go Raptors." Oh my gosh, come on. We're going to do better than that. Dana, I'm going to say this right now. Our schedule's going to get easier as the season goes on. Things are going to be a lot easier. This road trip is not like the Western Coast road trip. This road trip has a couple of patsies on it. I mean, there's a couple of teams that are, yeah, we're in trouble. But I'll tell you right now, we could beat Atlanta on Sunday. I bet you we could give Chicago a good run the next game. Houston may be a little tough, but we'll see. We could play them eye to eye. We might give them a good competition. Oklahoma City may be the game that we're probably going to lose for sure. New Orleans Hornets, that could be a game where, it could go either way, although the Hornets absolutely kicked our butt the last time we went to New Orleans. And then, of course, we're going to Charlotte at the end of the trip. So in some ways, if we haven't got a win on this road trip by the time we get to Charlotte, well, we better for damn sure get one then. We better for damn sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you have lowered expectations, but also at the same time, let's not sully them all the way down that we're like, you know what, we could actually do a little bit better than what we're thinking right here. We'll have to see. A lot of it will have to be with the timing of Jakob coming back and things like that. So we'll have to see. And Trevor J's here. Good morning, Raptors family. Happy Saturday morning. Greeting to one and all. Have a blissful day. Blessed day. Yes. Thank you, Trevor J. And he's saying last night was a big score night in the NBA. Doncic, 73 points last night. Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive. In some ways, I'm way more impressed by Luka's score than Joel Embiid's 70 the other day. He did it on less shots. He almost got a triple-double. He had a really bad game before and had a lot of controversy because of getting in trouble with the refs. And then he comes back out. And this is the crazy thing. Luka did this against Atlanta in Atlanta. And if people that don't know, that realize the history, that they drafted Luka and traded him on draft day for Trae Young. And the fact that, he goes into Atlanta, the team that drafted him, and drops 73 on their head. Yeah, Atlanta fans are probably like, what if? What if? Why did we trade to get Trae Young instead of having Luka? We had Luka on the Atlanta Hawks. What the hell is wrong with our team management? No, I get it. Booker got 62 in a losing effort against the Pacers, and Pascal Siakam getting a win last night. Finally, Pascal feels that winning kind of feel around the Pacers. They've had good close games and competitive games, but just lost. Well, they beat the Suns, and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker got 62 points last night. That's insane. That's incredible, and that's amazing. Pascal with another win, 31 at 7-4, looking real good. Yeah, Siakam doing good things for the Pacers, and the Pacers are looking interesting for sure. Trevor's saying for his words of wisdom, may each day bring you sunshine to keep you warm, moonlight to guide your night, and angels to watch over you, laughter to make you happy, good friends to support you, and faith that your prayers will be answered. Heard. Okay, yeah. Good stuff, Trevor. Good stuff. Some ways, some of your words of wisdom, I feel like I've read them somewhere. Like sunshine to keep you warm, moonlight to guide you. Yeah, I think I've heard that somewhere. It's okay if you're getting them from somewhere, but Trevor, if you're bringing them up off the top of your head, that's amazing too. I love your sentiments, and I wish them all to everybody for sure. Nako's here. Good to see Gerald Mayhew. Comedy bar, comedy places. If you want to see some good comedy, if you see the name Gerald Mayhew on the marquee, that is my man, Nako the Nacho. And you can come by and see his show, his burgeoning stand-up comedian career. You got to go check it out. Let's see. Thank you for RJ for solid playmaking. Grady's passing is looking nice. All right, let's do the stars of the game right now. The stars of the game for the Raptors, in my opinion, were, first of all, RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, 9 of 19 last night, 0 of 2 at the 3, 4 of 8 for free throw line, not very good. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, a minus 27 and 22 points. In some ways, you'd be like, Lex, why did you pick him as the star of the game? Because he's the worst plus minus in the game. Yeah, he did. But he was really aggressive, and I really like how he was powering through the Hall of Fame lineup of the Clippers and trying to score. That's not easy. There's a lot of smarts. There's a lot of strength. There's a lot of veteran leadership on the Clippers, and Barrett was going in there to battle. And the refs are not on our side at this point, and Barrett is getting the Toronto whistle, and it's frustrating because him and Scott are both getting the fouled the hell out of them, and there's no respect for them on the court right now, and it is pissing me off. It's pissing RJ off too. He's yelling at the refs, and rightfully so. And we've had to challenge the refs a couple times last night, and we got the call right. But still, we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to do this to get respect. Y'all are not respecting RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes, and you should. Now, I said this stat line. I said, look, he had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, but he did have 3 turnovers. He did miss half of his free throws, and he was a minus 27, and he didn't make any of his threes. But you know what he did? Once again, at the end of the game, he took ownership of it. They came to him at the press conference after the game, RJ, and they said, RJ, you had a great game tonight, scoring 22 against the Clippers and this tough team. And RJ said to the press, no, I didn't. I had a horrible game tonight, and I am not happy with how I played tonight. And then he pointed out the things that he was pissed off about. I'm minus 27. I got 3 turnovers. I missed all my threes, and I missed half my free throws. So RJ is being very hard on himself, and that's good because that's the way a competitor and somebody like him should be. Is like, I want to get better and perfect my game more and more as time goes on. He is a crazy competitor. I love what Alvin said in the broadcast about how long he's known RJ Barrett, him being around Toronto for a while. Well, we've seen young Rowan Barrett Jr. around because his dad's been around. And he said whenever he was young and whatever stage, high school, Duke, the NBA, RJ's been the same. He's been overly competitive, very competitive. I would say overly competitive, but so motivated and competitive to get out there and just kick ass and fight all the time. As far as play hard, never give up. And I love that about RJ. That's something that should endear him to Raptors Nation. And we should feel very proud and happy to have him on our team. He knows that in some ways Toronto's going to get the discount because he's from here. He's Canadian. He understands the place of the Raptors in the league and some of the bullshit that we have to put up with. So in some ways, I like the fact that, well, he's going to go through it unflinching. And he's just going to knows that it'll temper him and make him harder and stronger over the time because it is that much harder, the route, playing for the Toronto Raptors. So I applaud you, RJ Barrett. I know what you know that you're getting into, and you are facing it head on, and you're not messing around. My second star of the game is Thad Young. Thad Young got the start, surprisingly, last night over Jonte Porter. I think that it's smart because in some ways you're going up against the Clipper team with so much experience. Why not have some experience on your team? I mean, Thad's been playing against James, Kawhi, Paul, and Russell for over 10 years, almost 20 years now, some of these guys. So, of course, put Thad Young in the starting lineup. He's fantastic. 6 of 6 from the field. Perfect shooting by Thad Young yesterday. 12 points, 6 rebounds, including 4 offensive rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Yeah, fantastic game by Thad. Really nice to see him starting. Now, he missed both his free throws on a really fucked up, messed up play that was not fair. He got fouled and there was continuation and he made it, but they called the foul on the floor and made him to shoot 2 free throws, and they robbed him. Basically, he should have gotten 3-point play. He would have had the 2 in the bank because he did make the shot through the contact. And there's nothing different that Thaddeus Young did than what LeBron or any other player in the league would have done. But for some reason, they wanted to call the foul on the court. That was messed up, refs. If that was a Golden Boy superstar like a Joel Embiid, a LeBron James, a Luka Doncic, a Jason Tatum, you would have given him continuation. You would have put him on the line for just 1 shot and none of this bullshit. There were a couple of really bad calls by Curtis Blair and those guys. That was one of them. The Thad Young 3-point play that was taken away. And then Thad got to the line and missed both the free throws. So instead of him getting a layup and an extra free throw shot, he didn't score anything on that possession. And he had a really good shot in play, and he got cheated from it. So referees, fuck you and shame on you for not calling the game fairly or the same for everybody. Just because Thad's a journeyman, longtime vet, in this league for so long doesn't mean he doesn't deserve the respect of continuation in a three-point play. You robbed him. And then he missed both the free throws, and we didn't get a single damn point on that. Meanwhile, on the reverse side, there's a bullshit, whack-ass, flagrant foul play on Grady Dick. And it was funny because Grady's talking about this after the game, where him and Darko had a little moment after the little James Harden three-point shot where they said Grady was in his landing spot. That's bullshit. James jumps forward and he gets more room, and he wants these kind of calls. He wants these. He baits them. In fact, he used to just kick his leg all the way out before they stopped him from doing that with the rules. And in some ways, that's what this was. It's not Grady. I guess he was in trouble for being there. But the thing that was the most fucked up is they called it a flagrant. Now, I can understand that being a foul. But how the fuck is that flagrant if Grady's not moving? He's standing with his arms up like this, and James just kind of like kicks out and lands just next to him. It's not like Grady moved on purpose into him to try and hurt him on purpose. There's none of that. So when Curtis Blair upgraded that foul in that three-point shot to a flagrant, that was bullshit, because basically James got to shoot 3 free throws with nobody on the box, and they got possession after that. So think about how they robbed Thad Young of his points, and they gave extra points and crazy extra shit on the Grady Dick flagrant foul play. That was absolute horse shit also. So yeah, it didn't matter. It wasn't consequential to the outcome of the game because the game was not close at the end. But those are examples of not very fair reffing. Let's just put it that way. And bias. In some ways, some of the calls against us were just simply because it's Grady Dick. You're a rookie. And those are veteran Hall of Famers. And it doesn't matter if that's actually an offensive foul. You're the rookie. And in this case, you're getting called with the foul, even though they pushed off and it looked like an offensive foul, actually. You know, that kind of shit is going to happen in differences of careers and where you are in your career. So, yeah, Grady played amazing. And he didn't even make a three-point shot. But he's not one of my 3 stars. He is not the third star. The third star is Dennis Schroeder. Dennis, listen, you know, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of change. There's a lot of chaos around our team. But if there's one thing that's steady, it's Dennis and his dedication as a professional and coming out there and playing at a high level as our backup point guard. It's like, look, he's doing his role. He knows his role, and he's going out there and he's executing it. Last night, Dennis was the only plus minus on our team. He was a +4. 13 points, 4 for 9, 1 of 4 from 3, 4 of 5 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover, a +4. Yeah, I like that he was a +4. That's really part of why I'm giving him kudos, because out of everybody on the court that played for the Raptors last night, he played winning basketball, and on his time on the court, the Raptors outscored the Clippers by 4. So I like that. Honorable mention to people like Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, maybe a little bit of an honorable mention to, not really him. Maybe Chris Boucher. I might give a little bit of honorable mention. But Scotty had a bad shooting night once again. This has happened since our other guys left. OG and Pascal leave, and now Scotty's getting more usage, and his efficiency is going down. He's 9 of 21 from the field. In some ways, some of those shots he was taking, he was rushing. In some ways, some of them looked a little forced. In some ways, you know, he's got to tighten up. Him and Gary, in particular, in the starting unit at the beginning of the game, were ice cold, and they were missing everything. It's like I was like shocked at how badly Gary was shooting last night. At times, it's like, you're wide open, bro, and we've been going through this all season. You're starting. There's no excuses. The shots are wide open, and you're missing them. What the fuck, Gary? Seriously, man, we cannot count on him. We cannot. And Scotty, he got a little bit of that Gary in him last night because he shot a lot and he missed a lot too. And that's too bad, because Scotty was doing a lot of really fantastic things. Also, obviously, he plays at a high level. He's doing all kinds of great stuff. That pass down court where he just barely got the ball over Paul George, and Chris Boucher caught it in a miracle catch, and he contorted his body before he fell out of bounds to be able to get up underneath the backboard and lay it in. That was a beautiful play. In some ways, that was an NFL play because Scotty threw that pass just perfect down the court like a quarterback would, just over the secondary to the catch of Chris Boucher. And man, what an incredible, athletic, amazing catch by Chris to be able to catch it. First of all, because he had to speed up to catch it and then slow down before he goes out of bounds too quickly. And then he had to also think about the rim and the backboard and how to contort himself to bend to be able to get it. And he was successful. He made it. And it was all very split second kind of Mission Impossible kind of feeling. Like Scotty throws a crazy ass pass down court, just clears Paul George's hands trying to get it. And Chris just barely catches it. It was a miracle play. It was a beautiful play. It's a crazy good highlight. In some ways, that should be on the NBA top 10 from last night. Seriously, because that shot was insane what they did. That was like an impossible catch and finish by Chris. Crazy good. All right, let me go through the whole lineup real quick. No ranking or anything. Bruce Brown Jr., he had signs of really good stuff last night, but also signs where he's frustrating and annoying me. I like the defense. I thought he was very heady defensively last night. I liked him taking a couple shots later and making them, like the three and a couple of the mid-range shots he took. But I feel like he's being shy about scoring. In some ways, we need him to try and take his shots and be a little bit more aggressive. If he's going to shoot better than Gary Trent, I'd like him to maybe take as many shots as Gary, if not more. I mean, I don't know. 9 rebounds for Bruce Brown, 2 assists, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 9 points in 32 minutes. I feel like he may be useful and may be part of our future, but in some ways also I don't feel like he fits. I don't know. He's such a weird kind of situation on our team right now. Bruce Brown Jr. coming to the game in a cowboy hat, calling him the cowboy. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird fit. Some people were watching the game last night and they're watching him on the bench talking to everybody. Everybody's looking down and Bruce is laughing and acting up. And some of the people in our chat are saying, get him off our team. We don't want this guy on our team. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Gary Trent, like I said, frustrating. 5 of 13, 3 of 8 from 3, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 13 points. That's what you can get. You get 1 rebound and 3 assists and bad shooting and no steals. Yeah, it's annoying, Gary. It's really, really annoying. We just need you to get some sort of bottom floor of what we can expect at least out of you, because sometimes it's nothing. Some people say you're being hard on Gary this year. No, I saw Gary last year. I understand what he can do. And in some ways, I feel like he's just not coming up to that quality this year. Last year, he was inconsistent last year, but he had a better quality of consistency throughout it all in some ways. Maybe it's that his low games are worse than his low games last year in some ways right now. I don't know. Maybe it's because we really have a vacuum and a void we need filled, and he's not adequately filling it in some ways. Chris's stats were 17 minutes, 9 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, missed 1 of his 2 free throws, 5 rebounds, and that's pretty much it. Chris is fine. Like, I like the 50% shooting. I like that finish I just talked about. I like him in there battling for rebounds. Once again, rebounds have been a real bad sore spot for us with Jakob out. And Chris is in there putting in the good fight, trying to get the rebounds. Jalen McDaniels and Garrett Temple and Kyra Lewis Jr. and Javon Freeman Liberty, all in for 2 minutes of garbage time right at the end. None of them scored. Jordan Wara got some earlier burn, though, and also the garbage time. Did go 0 for 3 from 3, though. 1 rebound, 1 assist. But there's certain things I liked about seeing Jordan out there. I saw him doing some defensive stuff that was worthwhile. He came in this first half, which was interesting. So there may be more to scratch under the surface with Jordan Wara. So let's keep an eye on what he does coming up. Jonte Porter had to leave the game, and apparently his eye thing is actually an issue. That he had to see an eye specialist during the game after just 4 minutes of action. He did get 3 rebounds and assists in 4 minutes, which was good, but he was really a quick hook, and then he didn't come back, and he was ruled out for the rest of the game because of a scratch to his eye. Let's see. And then Grady Dick. Real quick, Grady missed all 3 of his threes, but he really looked good. Honestly, I love that offensive rebound off the free throw miss. That was awesome. We saw a lot of really smart, heady, like intelligent IQ kind of stuff from Grady. He's learning the game. The more he gets confident, the more he has an NBA body, he's going to be good. I've already figured this out that like his smarts on the court are really top level. And the thing about Grady is he's really good at calculating where to be on what spot on the court at any given time. And whether that's getting into a passing lane, whether that's doing a crazy rebound off a free throw miss, this kid has a very high aptitude for understanding basketball and kind of uh, telegraphing or whatever the word is. You know what I mean? What's going to happen next? Being ahead of like seeing things and kind of being ready to get and jump in those spots. If anything, he's a great straw that stirs a drink as far as if the offensive movement on our offensive end isn't moving around. Well, Grady is. Grady is. So I really was really happy with Grady. And so was the announce crew. And I'm sure Darko was also. He did get the after game interview for having kind of a nice little game. And yeah, keep going, Grady. You're showing really good jumps with things recently that makes me really feel promising about you. And maybe a month or so ago, we were really kind of down on you. But now I think it's changing. I think that more and more Raptors fans are realizing the potential that you have because of your aptitude. And that your aptitude, well, you're a smart NBA player and you play smart. Well, we see people like Caruso and Conchar. You know, if you could become like a crazy defensive menace like Alex Caruso or Conchar, that would be amazing because those guys aren't super athletic, crazy guys. They're just really smart and they know how to do that kind of stuff. And I could see, like, some people say, well, Grady's not going to be a good defender. Well, what if he is like Caruso to a degree? He could be a very good defender if he's relying on his intelligence, his experience, and understanding of what works on defense. And if he does that, whoa, look out. He could actually be somebody on defense. And we wouldn't even seen it coming because we see the guy and we're like, that guy, he's not going to be able to play defense in the NBA. Well, wait a second. If he has smarts and effort, yeah, he can. Yeah, he can. Just ask Alex Caruso. Yeah, you can. You can. All right, let's keep going. We are on Salsa. Fiercey Salsera. Good morning from Fiercey Salsera. Always good to see you, my dear. Let's see what you're saying this morning. I jumped ahead right when I was about to read it. Good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. As annoyed as I've been recently, I believe in Masai and know it will get better. Let's be patient and trust the process. Positives are how Grady played really well, and I really like RJ's aggressiveness. He draws a lot of fouls. Thank you to Trevor J. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to break this down. You know, it's annoying that our team is taking a downturn and we know we're in a new place where we got to come up again from. But I love that you're saying you trust Masai and Bobby's plan, that they've got it. They're going to figure it out. They're going to get it right. There's going to be tinkering. There's going to be changes. There's going to be different people coming in and playing for us over time. And we're just going to have to be along for the ride and see how it goes and trust the process. That's right. I don't even like using the word process because we know what that was used around. It's just trust the journey. Let's trust the journey and see what happens. Yeah, I thought Grady played very well. And RJ's aggressiveness is refreshing. In some ways, if we've wondered about Dog, if we wondered about really giving a shit about helping the Raptors win, well, RJ is not pulling punches. This kid is for real, and he is trying to win for his hometown. And I love it. There's a new open gym that came out last night, and it was about the return to New York game. RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly coming back to the MSG and also showing OG and just talking about Siakam getting traded too. It's a bittersweet, weird episode. It's sad. In some ways, you know, there are parts of it that really pissed me off. There's one segment where they're backstage in MSG before the game, and Dennis says to RJ, "You're home. You're back home." And I'm like, no, he's not. His home is Toronto, and he's back home on our team. So when you go into MSG, you're not telling RJ he's home. He's visiting the team he used to play for, but he's home now, Dennis. And I think that's kind of what RJ said to him, what I just said to him. He's like, no, man, I'm home now in Toronto. Because, like, yeah, seriously, Dennis, he's not home in MSG. He's home in Scotiabank Arena. And another thing that really pissed me off about that open gym episode was William Lou at the end. Listen, we don't want to make William Lou the pundit for the Raptors and what's happened to them. When he comes out at the end of the open gym episode and he declares that everything that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan built has run its end and is over, fuck you, Will Lou. You don't get to decide that. In fact, in some ways, you're obviously so bad at your job that you're not paying attention enough to understand that these things get passed down no matter what. That Siakam and Anunoby got it passed down to them from Kyle and DeMar. And you know what? They got enough time to pass it to Scotty. So you can be ignorant to this. You can be dumb to this, but understand. And maybe RJ already has that kind of mentality that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan have, because we just talked about it. Don't underestimate a couple of years of Siakam playing next to Barnes and just how much got traded and passed over to him. And you, Will Lou, in some ways declaring that the Raptors run off of the whatever Kyle and DeMar started is over and dead at this point. You don't fucking get to decide that, you fuck. No. You know, it may be that we're cycling into a new era, but it doesn't mean that things that were taught and passed down through our culture from player to player has not been kept intact. In fact, it's too early for you to declare that, motherfucker. We got to see just how Scotty takes this seriously. Maybe he has got all of the ideas of Lowry and DeRozan in him, even though he never played with them, because the bridge was there. He played with Van Vliet. He played with Anunoby. He played with Siakam. And he played with them for a few years. So, you know, it could very well be Masai's like, I'm going to wait to make these trades with Siakam and Anunoby, and I'm going to hold on to Fred as long as I can. I'm not going to trade him at the trade deadline because I want these guys to instill what it means to be a Toronto Raptor means to Scotty before they leave. So, Will Lou, I resent the fact that you get the opportunity to be on Open Gym and say that you're declaring that the end of the cycle of DeMar and Kyle and the good run with them is over. You don't declare that shit. You don't decide that shit. No, you don't. That's just your damn opinion. And we're going to see if Scotty kept all that shit and retained it. You know, Chris is still on the team. Chris could be talking to him still in the way that Lowry would have talked to him before. So, yeah, pause and stop fucking up, Will Lou, with your negative ass shit. Like, nobody wants to hear your ass declaring that the nucleus and the chemistry and the world of Kyle and DeMar is over in Raptors world. Fuck that. Fuck that. And fuck you, Will Lou, for making your opinions, getting them out on Open Gym like that. We don't need that little end to it. And the way that they're acting with the episode, they have this sad music and all this shit. Jeff Landicino, whatever. Fucking with your bullshit with Open Gym. Get it right. That channel and that show should be propaganda for the positives of the Raptors. And ever since the season, when you did an episode on the in-season tournament, instead of the franchise career most assists in a Raptors game ever against Detroit, which you dropped the ball on and did not cover in any kind of way this year, fucking get your shit right. What is your mission statement, Jeff Landicino and Open Gym? Is it to fucking make us sad and say, oh, sad music, the era of Kyle and DeMar is gone. Oh, new era. What is your fucking mission? It's to make propaganda that makes us look good. It's to make the product look good, to make the team attractive to people to come to the games and spend money on merchandise and tickets. That's what your job is, Jeff. It's not to depress us. It's not to turn people off from the Raptors. It's to get them excited. It's to play a nice clip, amazing highlights, and tell the story of success and good things for the Raptors so it's attractive to people to come to the games, to the Scotiabank Arena. And I feel like you're failing on your mission statement sometimes, Jeff and the Open Gym people. Seriously. In some ways, I don't need the little sad, whiny, tiny violin story that this is the era's over in the new era. Fuck that. I know there's a new era. We're going forward and we're going to kick some ass. And Will Lou, you better watch because Scotty Barnes learned those lessons and he carries our culture forward. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, where's Alex Wong? That's what I got to say right there. Where is Alex Wong? Monique is saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. What a week for me. Go Raptors. Okay, Monique, have a good week. I wish the Raptors were having a good week too. Holy crap, but I'm glad you are. That's good. I saw you met Jalen McDaniels after the game last night. Monique getting pictures with Jalen and getting to talk to him. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you talked about with Jalen McDaniels. I love that you're getting to meet more Raptors. I know you get to meet them all the time. And, there's different people. We need to get a picture with you. Some of the newer Raptors that just showed up, they need to come around and get their picture taken with Monique, the superfan Lawrence, for sure. Cowboy saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Bam. Let's go. Yes, Cowboy, let's go. Monique is saying, patience is the key, Raptor Freak family, Raptor Freak crew. Yeah, it is. It is. It's going to be, I'm very patient. I'll be patient on this. Yeah, I just hope that pray that the rest of the Raptors nation can be overall more patient. That's what I would love. Cowboys saying, for a big man in the draft, I like Aaron Bradshaw, 7 foot, only 19 years old, brings good energy. Let me know what you think, Lex and the Freaks. I'm not going to do any draft scouting until at least, I mean, it's not even the All-Star break, y'all. Come on. Y'all are bringing me names too early. Maybe I'll have to say, nobody bring me any names until April. I don't want to start talking about draft until April. I don't want to even do it in February or March. There's too much season still, too much other stuff. You guys can have your names and get your list together. But at some point, I'm going to be like, all right, let's talk about draft people. But in some ways, it's too early for me. I get it. Some of y'all want to talk draft because you want to see something positive or think about positive things in the future. But it's just too early for me. It's too early. I'll remember you said Bradshaw. But yeah, I think it's too early. For me, at least. You guys go ahead and do all your research now. But in some ways, I'm still right in the middle of the season. And All-Star Weekend hasn't even happened, y'all. Come on. Cowboys saying, rely and Masai. Everyone keep your head up. Have a great and safe day. Got to go. Let's go, Raptor Freaks. Let's go, Cowboy. That's right. He's got Mo on blast. I love it. Jimmy saying, we are ridiculously bad. Hard to watch. I don't know if we're ridiculously bad. I mean, listen, we're playing against a Hall of Fame team last night. They're going to look, Kawhi's perfection. If anything, let's look at this, Jimmy. Let's look at Scotty and let's look at Kawhi. Kawhi is very money. Kawhi is like a cyborg. Kawhi hits his shots like a machine hits like something of accuracy, very pinpoint. And he looked so good last night. The way that Kawhi moved and took his shots and very efficient, well, that's what I want Scotty to become more and more like. If we could have seen a back and forth last night between Barnes and Leonard, that was very wow, both these guys are very overpoweringly good offensive players, and they're so measured and fundamentally right and just pinpoint accuracy. But that wasn't there for Barnes on his side of things. Leonard goes down the court and boom, it's right through the net, swish. And it's just perfect form, fundamentals, everything. Scotty, that is what you could be in the years to come. And in some ways, we could look at this is the early product, and this is maybe a finished, better product at the end. And Scott needs the years to develop, hone his game, just like Kawhi did, and get to that point. And in some ways, it's like a before and after that you just looked at last night. We may be looking at Scotty right now as the before, but later on down the road, he may be the after, just like Kawhi Leonard. And that's the thing. It's time. We could look at Scott's stats and Kawhi's stats at this point in their careers. And in some ways, they're similar. Kawhi was winning a championship early in his career around this time. But in some ways, he was not the main guy for the Spurs. And also, in some ways, he was kind of not scoring in the same or doing the same kind of stuff that Scott is doing right now. So we could actually kind of look at the career path of Kawhi Leonard and how he grew over his whole career. And let's kind of look at Scott and think about that for the future, Jimmy. That'll be interesting. When is the games going to be more like what Kawhi did last night for Scotty? Very, very perfect shooting and just really, really on point in all kinds of different ways. I'm excited about that. Yeah, we're a little ridiculously hard to watch when Gary Trent's missing wide open shots constantly. It annoys me. In fact, the three-point shooting was so bad for the Raptors again last night, 18.8%, 6 of 32 from the three-point range. That is horrible. And then the free throw shooting was bad again. And Darko mentioned it. Missing 9 free throws sucks. This 9 points, we lost by 20. I mean, we're not going to win still, but those kind of shooting things, they need to get cleaned up and improved and better as time goes on. They just need to do way better at the free throw line every single night. It's horrible when they dip down like this on certain nights. And the three-point shooting is bad. The free throw shooting is bad. Yeah, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Chris is saying Bradshaw looks good last night, first game, and versus a good team too. Grady Dick seemed to look rather complete. I don't know if he's complete, but he looked better. Mistakes on defense, but the effort was there. Just not the timing. B grade, not bad. All right, so you like what Grady did. I can tell that he's learning better. I can tell that he's understanding like matchups. In some ways, he had to guard James Harden last night. That's crazy. That's crazy. Grady guarding James Harden. That is really welcome to the NBA, buddy. You have to guard James Harden. Yeah, that's not necessarily easy. That's not at all. I wouldn't say Grady's game was complete. Obviously, we need him to hit threes, and then maybe we'll see the more complete Grady Dick. But no, I don't even think this is anywhere near his ceiling. So we can't say that he looked rather complete. No way. There's all kinds of potentials and different things that he can develop into in the future as a player. And he is just really starting out right now. In fact, I wouldn't even count all the early stuff in the season as him starting out. This is when he's starting out now. That stuff was just little teases and let's put him out for a second, blah, 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 this. Now is when he's really starting now on this stint right now. G saying, I think some people really underestimated how hard it would be to replace Pascal's production. This is going to be a process now. He's giving such good production in the Pacers at this point. Yeah, I mean, this is true. There's so much about Siakam that, you just lose if he's gone. There's intangibles. There's a lot of different things that he was doing around our team that you really didn't understand. And now that he's gone, you kind of feel him. And it is what it is. He's very much an underrated defender. And part of our defense and rebounding hit right now is definitely because he's gone. In some ways, I will kind of take this sweet spot where we had the spicy barbecue for a while and I always wonder what if, but now that he's gone, it really is a futile exercise that, man, what if we could have just avoided the Indiana trade and just done the New York trade and that's it? What would it be happening right now? But no, in some ways the summer with him being a free agent is just, we couldn't do that. But then also I hear the arguments of people saying like yesterday, well, if Minnesota can do what they did with Gobert and Towns and Edwards, why can't the Raptors spend money and keep big names and pay a lot of money to people? I don't know. In some ways, it's disheartening. It is what it is. But in some ways, we're on a reset and we're just trying to try and start over and with the new guys, with the new nucleus and build them up and build them into value just like we did those other guys before them. That's the thing. We get young players, we build them up and we get them paid. And we're going to have a new group. We're going to have to find and get them like OG and Pascal also. Yeah. Let's see. Chris is saying, as long as I see development, Barnes' shooting was ugly at times, and I sort of see more losses coming. Sorry, folks. Also, Alvin Williams had a lot of good, honest stuff to say. Clip chip, maybe? Clip chip. What is that? Hang on. Sorry, I'm burping so much. Yeah, as long as I see development, it's good too. In some ways, if there's gonna be higher usage for Scott, it's naturally gonna be like a better, like worse efficiency for a while at least. That's always the case. When guys get bigger responsibilities in offense and they're shooting, their field goal attempts go up, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're shooting that's so good before. Because before they were taking the shots that were kind of catering to them and like in a way in the flow of the game where they can like kind of like be very efficient. And that's been Scott with Anunoby and Pascal on the team. But with them gone, and in some ways he's going to take more shots. He's going to have ugliness, like his shooting percentage last night, 9 of 21. In some ways that's going to happen. So we'll see it improve. In some ways with that new realm of more field goal attempts, Scotty's got to clean it up and tighten it up and make it look even better. And I'm sure he'll look at his box score last night, and that's what he'll say. He'll probably say, like, yeah, 9 of 21. Man, I got to make a couple more of those. I really need to get my threes to be more clean, too. He was trying to go tit for tat with Kawhi Leonard. And at times, it seemed like, okay, Kawhi's going down this end. All right, Scotty's going this end. And we did see Scotty go one-on-one against Kawhi, them battling each other. This has been part of the fun since those guys left. Is that Scotty really is taking it upon himself to go at the marquee main event guy on the other side and really do battle with them. And we're seeing one-on-one battles, defensive battles against each other that are fantastic and fun. Really, really fun. And I love when Scott beats those veteran guys that he's up against. And then also he gets tested by them and they show him up. And, Kawhi did score over him a couple times. And in some ways, those are the things that Scott needs for lessons. They're definitely the things that they need for lessons. Yeah, of course, there's more losses coming, Chris. That's not a news story. And in some ways, we got to get used to being around 300, maybe up to 400 by the end of the year. But the schedule is favorable as we go. We're going to get a lot more of the Charlotte, the Washington, those kind of games are coming up at near the end of the season. And it's kind of crazy because I don't know what kind of shape we're going to be in and how much we're going to be winning. And in some ways, we don't want to maybe win some of those games by then because of where we're at and what will be the advantages of staying down there. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting because the schedule is going to get easier. But does that mean that the Raptors are going to do things to make it harder for them to win still? I don't know. This year is going to be one of those years, just like Tampa. This year is going to be just one of those years, just like Tampa. A lot of y'all were saying yesterday that you felt like Alvin Williams has leveled up as an announcer for a broadcast. And I agree. He's gotten better and better. He's listening to people give him critiques. He's listening to people help him. In fact, the guy sitting next to him is helping him a lot with broadcasting and helping him get better and better. Matt Devlin is mentoring Alvin Williams, and he's doing a fantastic job. You can tell. And also, Alvin's just cleaning it up. In some ways, we heard an Alvin that was more like me, just a straight shooter and just kind of like no filter and just kind of saying what comes off the top of his head. And it's enjoyable. It's not as stumbly. It's a lot more smooth, and it's very down homesy. Some of the things he's saying are just awesome. Alvin, you keep going. You're doing a fantastic job. I always believed in you. I know you were a little rough around the edges the first couple years in the broadcast booth, but you are progressing and getting better and better. I love you, Alvin Williams. Keep going. Keep going is what I got to say. Monique is saying, we know what kind of season it is, Jimmy. Stay cool. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult right now, and it is what it is. We can't just live and die for the W. Seriously, we can't at this point. We really can't. It's about the D, the development. That's the thing that's important right now. Jimmy's saying, looked at ticket prices for Memphis versus the Kings. You can get $4 tickets, but we're down terrible, and we still pay premium for tickets. Yeah, I know, Mo. It is what it is. It's Toronto. I'm going to say that right now. Everything is overpriced in the city of Toronto, and it's just a difficult city to live in. In some ways, we pay a premium for all kinds of different things just because we're in Toronto. It's kind of bullshit. It's kind of bullshit. In some ways, there needs to be more people investigating price gouging. That in some ways, the grocery, the oil, there's all kinds of things that are being gouged on us. And they're trying to say, oh, it's because of like COVID and issues and this. They're just trying to make up their lost profits from the pandemics. It's the same thing in the concerts right now. All concert tickets are overinflated and high priced because a lot of these touring companies or people that work with concerts and the riggings and all those crews, they need to make up the money they lost for the 2 years they couldn't be on the road because of the pandemic. And they're making us pay for it now. Every time anybody blames inflation, gas prices, any of that kind of shit for rising prices, that is bullshit. It's greed. It's corporate greed to make their margins and profits go up. None of that fucking money in the price increases goes because of those kind of things. It goes because they're greedy and they just want to make more and more money, just so you know. In some ways in Canada, I don't feel like we have good oversight on price gouging, especially in the grocery store. And that the government needs to be watching them way better and really, really fining and penalizing grocers for monopolizing price gouging and doing really fucked up weird shit. So yeah, Trudeau, Canadian government, come and investigate Galen Weston and his grocery store chains more and more and catch them on this. Now, you can look at Memphis, but I'm going to tell you this right now, Jimmy. Memphis has a hard time getting people to come to the games. In some ways, we do not. In Toronto, we do not have a hard time getting people to come to the Toronto Raptors games. They do. And that's why they need to have $4 tickets. Because, yeah, in other ways, the other thing is Memphis, in some ways, has a population in their city that would come to the games that may not have a lot of money. And that's part of the reason why their ticket's going to be $4. It's a lot of different reasons. You can look at that number and say, oh, $4 to go to an NBA game in today's day and age. That's awesome. That would be ideal. That'd be great. But it's not realistic for Toronto. And it's not really realistic to compare our market to Memphis. Let's just put it that way. Jimmy's saying, I knew the moment Kawhi left, it would be hard for us. We've been on a downward spiral ever since. I don't believe that. And I don't portend bad, negative shit for us. We were fine the year after he left. The pandemic fucked us up. That's not when we went down, was when Kawhi made his decision. We held our heads high and we said, all right, you're going to cheat us of the opportunity to try and get a repeat at full strength with the team that we actually had. Well, we're going to go forward. We're going to try and do it without you, motherfucker. That's actually how it went, actually, Jimmy, if you remember. And we did. We kicked a lot of ass in that year up until fucking Rudy Gobert started grabbing microphones and they fucking shut down the world. In some ways, we could have still won in the bubble if we were better prepared. And that's where Siakam takes his blame. And he feels really bad and guilty and depressed about it. Because in some ways, if we had kept going and with the steam and the momentum that we had in that year, we probably would have repeated possibly if there had not been a shutdown of everything. In fact, I don't fucking know why, everything shut down all of a sudden and boom, it killed our momentum. We had the best record in the NBA at that time. We really did. So don't tell me that it all went downhill after Kawhi. It went downhill when Rudy Gobert grabbed the microphones. That's when it went down. And we were fine without Kawhi immediately after he left. We really were. Let's see. Nako's saying Bradshaw looks good near the rim. Good three-point shooter, strong, would want to see a good two-man game. All right, you guys are really big on Bradshaw. Well, do we have Farouk in the wings also? Get the whole APA out there. That's right. Chris is saying it could be a clip chip. The Nuggets bench is not great this year. I could see it. Boston is nice, but maybe Tatum it just isn't it. The Raptors don't have the size in the front court. Okay, you keep saying clip chip, meaning it's a Clippers chip. See, when you say that, it makes me think of a chip clip, like when you eat your chips and you get that little thing that you have and you close the chips, like that's a chip clip. Like I wasn't getting this, that you're saying clip chip, that you mean Clippers championship. See, I was thinking that you need something to keep your potato chips fresh, the chip clip. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'll have to understand that this is a weird saying that you've got, clip chip. Yeah, and you mean a Clippers championship. Yeah, there's no such thing as a clip chip until there is one. How about that? So it's not something that I know of because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a clip chip yet, but there may be at the end of the year. Yeah. You're saying the Nuggets bench is not that great this year? Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And Boston is nice, but maybe Tatum isn't it. Yeah, he's a loser. We're going to see him lose some more. The Raptors don't have any size in the front court, so the Clippers going to win the championship because of that. Yeah, I think we're lacking some other things too. Infamous is saying, salute freaks. I believe what the front office has done to this team has completely demoralized the players. You can see it in their faces. I hope Masai is not bottoming out to prove a point to owners. No, and no. I mean, I hate this kind of, you guys are really negative in how you're saying things, a couple of y'all this morning. I'm not about it. In some ways, these guys understand what's going on right now in all different kind of perspectives. You name a player on the Raptors, I'll tell you exactly how they're looking at it in some ways. And it's not totally negative. You can't go by the looks of like we lost and we're depressed about that on things. You can't look at that way. In some ways, these guys don't like losing, obviously. Nobody does. But also they understand that this is going to be a little bit of a haul and a process. And everybody sticking around right now has got to be okay with that for the time being, that we're going to get better and better. And it could happen a lot quicker, especially when we got a big Austrian back. So, man, come on. Let's stop like framing our words and saying stuff in negative ways. In some ways, it's like demoralize the team. Let's not fucking say shit like that. There's no point in saying that. And in some ways, the comparison is the root of happiness, is the thief of happiness. Comparison is the thief of happiness. You can go look at Pascal and OG and see how happy they are on their new teams, and then look at our guys and they're losing. And yeah, you're going to feel like they're demoralized, but who gives a shit? This is just part of the whole thing. They're going to get their time where they feel demoralized on Indiana and New York again. Trust me. Trust me, those kind of things will happen in cycles in different times. And in some ways, I don't like you using that word. These guys are playing basketball. They're getting paid millions of dollars. They have charmed, happy lives. They may not like losing and they want to change that. And that's important. But let's not get it twisted and use heavy words like demoralized. That's not useful for anyone. It really isn't. In some ways, yeah, they don't like losing. They want to win. But everybody in the NBA is like that. And there's going to be teams that lose more than they win. And we're just having to be one of those teams this year. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be that team next year. So there's a lot that can happen. We'll stay present, but hope for the best in the future and hold our heads up high and stay positive right now. That's what I'm saying. Nako's saying Bruce was looking better last night. It was different. It was mixed. At times, I was really impressed with him, with what he was doing on defense. And then at times, I was like, he's kind of being sheepish on offense. I wish he would be more aggressive and maybe take a shot. And then when he did take his shot, I was like, yeah, all right. See, Bruce, you can shoot too. There's no rules because you're new and nobody really knows you why you can't shoot also. So shoot also. I feel like in some ways he needs to have offensive output to be fully useful to his potential. That's part of what he's done for the Nuggets and the Pacers in the last couple of years, that we need him to have some scoring additions and output to add to our score. And in some ways, I feel like he's short shooting us right now. I guess some ways he's trying to fit in. He doesn't want to seem like he's stepping on toes or being too overly aggressive. But in some ways, I'd like him to. I would. Because in some ways, we need more RJ aggressiveness. And Bruce Brown could maybe do some more aggressiveness to help us score points. And that's what I'm wondering about. If Masai's bottoming out to prove a point to the owners, that's weird. No, you don't do shit like that. In some ways, that doesn't go in like the playbook of Masai. That he's going to bottom out the team and fuck it up just on purpose and to spite the owners. That doesn't sound right. That first of all, people that do that are stupid. And Masai Ujiri's not a dumb person. So I can't see him cutting his nose off to spite his face. And that doesn't make any sense to me. In some ways, the timing of when he does these next deals, well, if they don't happen before the trade deadline on this road trip, well, maybe we are seeing him doing something on purpose. But I doubt that. I think there is going to be a deal while they're on the road. The reporters are very adamant, and they keep pointing out, well, the Raptors aren't going to be back at home before the trade deadline. So somebody may be getting traded while they're out on the road on this 6-game road trip, just so you all know. When they return, the trade deadline will have passed. And then they can come home, and a lot of the noise and the bullshit surrounding them will be gone. In some ways, I'm glad they're on a 6-game road trip during this NHL All-Star Week, because they won't have to be around all of our local reporters, assholes here. Like, who knows? Aaron Rose, maybe you're not going on the road to bug them every single fucking day about the trade deadline. So, yeah, in some ways, I'm glad they're on the road right now. So they don't have to deal with the local Toronto media and their stupid bullshit. Maybe Doug Smith will be out there with them, riding around with them and asking some out-of-pocket questions. But if it's only Doug Smith, we can handle that. Maybe it'll be Grange too, fuckface Grange. But if it's not the whole Toronto media scrum traveling around with them on this road trip, bothering them about the trade deadline, I'll be happy. That'd be good. Yeah. Let's see. Keep on going with the chat. Let's see. Jimmy's saying, I just want to watch fun basketball. Games aren't even close lately. They are and they aren't. I mean, yeah, there's been a couple of routes recently, but for the most part this season, we've kept it close and competitive almost in every single game. So let's be fair right here, Jimmy. I think that, last night wasn't as fun and interesting as the other Clipper game in LA, but I feel like there were some stuff, like the whole thing, they looked at it this way. And this is how Darko framed it before the game. He said, we get an opportunity to play against a Hall of Fame caliber level of team. And in some ways, this is the kind of game where you gauge yourself against the best in the league. And if you belong on the court with them. And in some ways, these guys are all in their 30s. They've all got storied NBA careers. They're all probably on their way to the Naismith Hall of Fame. And when you get your young group and you get to go in against them and you get to battle against them, this is a really good kind of test. And it's a really good kind of like gauge for seeing where you're at. And I feel like even if you don't really think you have a realistic chance to play against them, you want to step up to them with the right foot forward and really come at them and like make the game like quality as far as you're learning, you're showing some stuff. Now, the difference may be that Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard are going to hit their shots at their end of the court, and Gary Trent Jr., Grady Dick, and Scotty Barnes are going to miss theirs because they're younger and more inexperienced. And those other guys have been doing this for years, and they're like master craftsmen. So it's really kind of like that. In some ways, we wanted to see how they are against a team of that caliber, that experience, that level of excellence, and just knowledge and veteranness. And well, we're testing it. And that's in some ways very valuable. And I'm sure the video from last night will be very useful for them this morning. So there's a lot to it. It's just not just win and loss. There's a lot more to it than you think. Let's see. Nako's saying, I trust Jimmy more than I trust Tatum. Heat's gonna make it out of the East before the Celtics. That's interesting. Not without Lowry. I'm gonna say that right now. The X factor of Lowry's gone. Miami, you fucked up. In some ways, you're gonna find out. Yeah, you're gonna find out down the road. I'm gonna disagree with you, Gerald, but I wish you would be right because I hate the Celtics. Jimmy's saying, yeah, Butler is a beast in the playoffs. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the rookie is going to be interesting to see for them. I think Vasquez could be actually a really interesting piece in the playoffs. And normally I don't say that about rookies, but he's a very special kind of rookie. And he could be very much an X factor for the Miami Heat's playoff run this year. Let's see. Chris is saying with the Raps, you got to watch quarter by quarter and hope they win one. 72, Doncic is so good at slowing his game down. Barnes should think about being more composed in his shot attempts and stop looking for calls. Yeah, he's doing that better. He's improved a lot this year. Honestly, when he first started this year, he was complaining way more. He was taking it out of plays. He was feeling the unfairness of it and getting really upset. Well, he may have listened to some of the stuff from I said this, and maybe people on the team were saying this too. That Scott, it doesn't matter if you get the call or not. You need to just finish through the contact. I said this earlier in the season. You can't control whether refs are going to blow the whistle. And you're so good. You're so fast and so strong all together that you should beat your opponent to the basket and just make it no matter what. And we're seeing that more recently. That Scotty's finishing the play and making the basket through the contact. And now he's complaining to get the extra free throw, but he's at least getting the points through the contact. And that's progress right there. So, and in some ways, the worst person that was arguing with the refs that fucked us up yesterday were RJ. RJ got a really bad call. Like there was no call. He got fouled the fuck out, and he was laying on the ground, and he stayed back, and he kind of messed up getting back on defense on the other end. And that was maybe the worst one of those kind of like getting taken out of the game because you were arguing with the refs about a call. That was the one that I noticed last night. The worst was the one where RJ got hit to the floor. He did get fouled, and they gave him no respect. And he got up and he yelled at the refs, and they got back, and it was 5-on-4, and something bad happened the other end. But that was because RJ was doing that too much. But yeah, I think that Scotty's doing a better job of not getting in his head and trying to argue with the refs too much and moving on and playing on, and the game face and the looks on his face of anger and mad and stuff. That's him playing at a high competitive level with his eye of the tiger and his game face. And in some ways, people are trying to read him for his emotions on the court. No, he's in competitive mode. He's going to look like he's a fierce warrior. And don't expect him to be smiling and happy. Maybe someday when we get to a certain point where we're winning a lot and he can drop his guard and feel happy. No, he's a warrior. And he's got to be very serious right now. And anybody who's trying to gauge Scotty's emotions from being on the court, well, he's in game mode. And he's playing to play to win. And he doesn't have time for smiley, happy shit. He's got to be playing hard and playing tough and kicking some ass. Nako's saying that's the attitude RJ needs. Yeah, there was that one point where he's pretty good about it. It's just sometimes he lapses on it. And there was one point where he did last night. But for the most part, he's pretty good at staying in the game and not getting sidetracked by talking to the refs and taking away from his defense. Country Kong's here. Good to see JP. Good morning, Raptors Freaks. Lex. Bruce Brown played 31 minutes last night. Grady played 21. I'm just wondering if we're still fighting for the play-in, because if not, I think Grady should play the 31 minutes. That's interesting. Well, I mean, let's increase his number slowly but surely. In some ways, we got to think about how much time he's been getting out there over the course of the year. He started out with like little 5-minute stints, 7-minute stints. Then he went up to like 10-minute stints. Then he went up to 15. It could very well be that Darko's was slowly ramping him up. You don't want to go from like 10-minute stints all the way to like 30 or 40-minute stints all of a sudden. He could be getting up to 30-minute stints very soon. I think that it's going to be a given that we're going to see Grady play in most Raptors games for the rest of the season. Maybe not all the time, though, just so you know. But yeah, I agree with this. I think that he should get to play more, and he probably will as the season keeps going. He probably will. But they got to ramp up his time as he's ready. And in some ways, 20 minutes in the NBA is a lot more taxing than 20 minutes in the G League in some ways. And in some ways, we got to make sure he's got the stamina and the aptitude and the ability to play at a high level for 31 minutes before we put him out there for 31 minutes. Bruce Brown can already do it. Grady can maybe handle 21 right now, but maybe at some point, very soon, he'll be able to do 31. Edmund's here. Good to see Race Mode Daily. This is the best time to root for a Raptors greats succeeding on other teams. We have a bright future with this retool. And next year, the gloves come off. Raptors versus everyone. And Messiah trust. There you go. I like what Edmund's saying. Let's just divert our positive, celebratory kind of like look to the former Raptors on their teams now. And look at how many there are all over the place and how they do what they do on their teams. I mean, it was fun to watch Norman last night, even though he's killing us. It's kind of neat. I know that whenever Norman plays us, and he sees Gary Trent on the other side, yeah, that's a personal matchup where he has something to prove. And he's going to go at Gary because this is the guy that the Raptors traded me for to get. And in some ways, that's just going to always be that way. Norman playing at a very high level last night and off the bench. And like I said, the Clippers were very measured with their output. They had 15 shots for George. He had the most. And then you got Harden and Westbrook with 14 shots. Leonard and Powell with 13, Plumlee with 12. Yeah, there's very even shot distribution between the main Raptors. It's funny that Plumlee's in that group with the Hall of Fame guys and Norman. But yeah, very efficient game by Norman Powell. He did damage to us right up until the end of the game. 3-pointers and dunks, getting around guys, a steal and then going in transition and dunking at the other side near the end, nailing the coffin. 6 for 13 for Norman, 2 of 7 from 3. 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 17 points. Yeah, it's good to see him shine in some ways. In some ways, the Clippers win a championship this year. There's illustriousness for Kawhi in major ways, but also for Norman Powell. Norman Powell also. I like your attitude, Race Mode. In some ways, let's root for the Knicks. Let's root for the Pacers. Let's root for the Rockets. Let's root for the Clippers. And those are our former Raptor teams right now. Fuck the Sixers is what I'll say. Nako's saying, we're not playing for the play-in, but we are playing to get Bruce Brown's value up. Got to make sure Bruce can play those long minutes to look for the playoffs. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is not for long. If that trade deadline's during this road trip, Bruce may not be in the Raptors jersey when we come back from being out on the road this time. And in some ways, I want that. I really do. In some ways, I don't value him. Even if I see good things in the game last night, in some ways, it's like, this is not a player that I see long-term for us. And we do need to flip him right now. We need to flip him to a team that's contending, that will very much value him, and that will give us stuff that we will value, that will help us with our path and our plans for the future. So in some ways, I really am in the camp of everybody else that's saying, let's trade Bruce Brown right now. Because in some ways, I don't want a 6'4" power forward on our team. I really don't. 6'4" power forward, he's not Charles Barkley. I'm sorry. I don't want him on our team. That kind of undersizement and counting as a front court player, because they listed him at power forward last night in the starting center. I'm like, fuck that shit. You going to play a 6'4" power forward? Have we had a long arm monster for 3 years? How the fuck are we going to go from that to that? Nah, I ain't about it. So Masai, flip Bruce Brown soon, please. Just flip him. Fiercely saying, yes, infamous. I see the players' morale is off. No more giddiness like after the first trade. Only Temple consistently stands and cheers. That's not true. That is not true. Those other guys are jumping up and cheering and doing other stuff all the time. I saw Quickly getting up off the bench and cheering. And I see all of them doing that kind of stuff. So it's not totally true. And once again, guys, we do not want to embellish and describe the sadness and the depressiveness of our team. That's not what we do here. We're talking about the bright side. We're talking about the good stuff. And reports on how depressed our players are, that's just not necessary here. These guys are in the NBA. They're living their dream. And let's not get it twisted. The looks of losses on people's faces are natural. That NBA team loses, they're going to have looks of disappointment. They should. If they're smiling too much, then you're going to question. That's what I used to question about Vince. We would lose games, and Vince had the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. The Raptors would get their ass kicked, and Vince would be out there like smiling and high-fiving everybody on the other team. And I'm like, Vince, I hate you because you're too happy because we lost. In some ways, I'm glad nobody's out there smiling like Vince Carter used to at the end of games. Yeah, it should bother them. And in some ways, y'all, let's not start describing them as being majorly depressed or demoralized or all this kind of bullshit. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't help us. Don't put those kind of monikers on there. Say that these young men are ready to win and be developing, and they're fierce competitors, and they have some spirit to them. Because in some ways, this language does not help us. Morale is off. No, that's not true. They've got a great coach that inspires them every day, win or loss, with Darko Rajakovic. And that's the stuff they're talking about. That's the stuff they're thinking about. They look to the professionals of Otto and Garrett and Dennis and Thad and say, well, this is how it is. Sometimes you're going to be in a losing team for a little bit. And we've been here before, and we can help you get through it and understand it and rationalize it and get through it in the right way and with your head on your shoulders. Nobody's falling into a deep depression. Nobody's falling into like weird places in their minds mentally. No, they're players in the NBA. They're professional. They understand this part of the job. So y'all need to stop over embellishing the sadness, the negativity. Oh my gosh. No, it's not like that. Trust me. It's not like that. It looks like it on TV, but they don't need to be eating grin Vince Carter at the end of a loss. That's what I'm saying right now. Most saying 3 stars a game and the loss for me. RJ, you love RJ attacking the rim. Thad and Bruce kind of decent. So she's picking Bruce as her 3rd star. Yeah, I thought Bruce wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. That's for sure. Chris is saying that was a bullshit whack ass call. Harden did extend his legs and flagrant. Tells you all you need to know about the refs. Bullshit, whack assers, all. But people, when is Yak back? Boucher is trying. Yeah, I was happy that Zubac was out. You know, the matchup was a little bit more fair. We did see Thad kind of schooling Mason Plumlee a bit last night. That was fun. It's too bad Jonte got hurt. It could have been a very good game for him to play a lot of minutes. Daniel Tice, not too crazy off the bench. A little bit of shit talking between him and Dennis, but that's natural. 2 teammates off the German team. Yeah, Jakob should hopefully be back for tomorrow. I'm going to say this right now. We need him back tomorrow against Atlanta. No more sitting him out. If they sit him out longer, like if he's sitting out for like a month, y'all, then it's on purpose. There's no reason for him to be gone more than 2 weeks. And if he's out longer than that, then we are on purpose kind of trying to lose right now. I'm going to tell you that right now. Watch how soon Jakob comes back. If he's held off longer and unnaturally, then that may be some sort of weirdness going on right now. Boucher is trying. Boucher is always going to give a good effort. In some ways, he's limited by his body width in some ways. Let's see. So Country Con's saying, let me get this straight. We're sacrificing the development of Grady Dick so we can put on a showcase for Bruce Brown, who everyone watched make it to the finals last year. Make it make sense, Lex. No, what I said earlier, Country Con, does that make sense to you? That in some ways Grady has to be ramped up with the minutes. And I think he is. I think he presently is. I think you're being impatient about how much Grady should be playing. I think that him playing 21 minutes is huge. That may be the most minutes he's played almost all season for the Raptors already. So once again, naturally, he has to be ramped up. He can't just be like, okay, go get it, Grady. Right now, you're going to play 40 minutes. He can't handle that. In some ways, it's conditioning. In some ways, it's like, with a young rookie like that who's had weight training for strength and different things like that, they got to understand what his limits are. And it may be that he can only handle 21 minutes right now, Country Kong, but he will be able to handle 30 minutes in a month from now. So just pay attention to it and watch, but once again, some nights he may not play at all. And just be willing to go with the flow of whatever Coach Darko's deciding with Grady. And it's like, listen, you can make a big deal out of this, but Bruce Brown's important to play right now. And it's really because we need to showcase him for a possibility of a trade. And the problem is the time is ticking on that. We got a lot of time to develop Grady and get him better and better over time. The trade deadline is coming up quick, so we need to play Bruce Brown so that people can see him. So yeah, that's how I hope that makes it make more sense right there. What I'm saying, Grady's going to be on our team probably like for a while, and he'll get that time. Bruce Brown may not be on our team in like the next week or so. So Jimmy's saying Gary was the only one to make more than 1 3, but yeah, complain about him, laughing my ass off. All right, it's funny because Jimmy's always standing for Gary when I come and diss him. Okay, yeah, Gary made 3 out of 8. Yeah, I mean that is out of all the guys that's better. A lot of them did not make threes. You're right, and that was a real problem. Sometimes we just a shitty 3-point shooting team. I don't know. 5 of 13 bugs me, and then it's just like he doesn't get anything else. He really doesn't. I just want him to make his shots consistently. The part of the problem with Gary is that he has wide open shots and he's missing them. If he's such a Sam Merrill, if he's such a Hauser, those kind of fucking players in the league, he should be hitting the open shots automatically. And it really pisses me off. Like he should be way better. Those 3-pointers when they're open should be like free throws to him. Just put it in. But he's off. He misses. And it really frustrates me. Because what happens is we go down the court and we see Paul George, dead-eye, bomb a 3 with Scotty's face in his hand, hits a shot that's so incredibly tough with Scotty's face in his hand. And then we come down the other court, we move the ball around. These guys do an amazing move, and they kick it out to Gary, and all he has to do is hit an open shot, and he misses it. That's the shit that is frustrating to me. Because in some ways, that's his number one job in his job description, hit open 3-point shots. And he's not doing that effectively. Yeah, and that's why. Unnecessary hate. It's not unnecessary hate. It's me, once again, being constructively critical of our player. I don't hate Gary. I want Gary to succeed. I want him to be really good. I know how good he can be. And I'm frustrated with him this year because he's had a worse year this year than last year. And last year wasn't like he was perfect either. There was a lot more games last year that he had amazing ass games where he scored over 30 points like 5 games in a row in January this time last year. And you're going to tell me I'm being hard on him? I'm being unnecessarily hating on him? No, I've seen his potential. I've seen what he can do, and he's not playing up to it right now. For whatever reason it is, it's not happening. And I hate that. And in some ways, I'm frustrated with him just like he's probably frustrated with himself. So I think if Gary heard me, he'd think everything I've been saying about him is fair and that I'm not being unnecessary towards him. He'd say, you know what, that's fair, Raptors freak. I'm not shooting as well as I should be right now. Kevin's here. Good to see Kevin T. Grady should play more minutes if we are focusing on developing this year. Yes, I agree with this, guys. I don't disagree with you guys. I'm just trying to explain to you guys that they got to ramp up his minutes and they can't just drop 40 minutes on him all of a sudden. I'll bet you he will play more, though, as the season goes on, especially if we're more and more in a development mode. That would totally make sense. It would absolutely totally make sense. Kevin, I'm glad to see you here, man. All right, let me see. Where am I in here? Race mode. Did we get a new slow-mo zoom camera at the replay center? They really need to implement a timer on the coach's challenge. I'm glad we won the challenge with the Dennis foul. Yeah, that was an interesting challenge. And what you're talking about, race mode, since it's in your field of expertise, yeah, I did look like the Raptors broadcast had a new zoom in slow-mo camera that really caught Dennis getting clean ball on Paul George in that play. And the refs, it looked like because we could see over their shoulders and see which camera angle they had. They were working with worse camera angles than the Raptors broadcast, it looked like. It looked like Alvin and Matt had a better view of the Dennis play that was a challenge, but it didn't matter. Curtis Blair and JB DeRosa saw the play clearly on their screen, even though they didn't have the same slow-mo zoom-in camera that the Raptors broadcast had, and they got the call right. And thank goodness. That was symbolized by Darko standing up for his guy, Dennis, and saying, you know what? I believe in my guy, and he's here with me. I'm going to stand with him, and I'm going to call the challenge. And you know what? He called that challenge without asking Vin. Normally, he'll turn to Vin Bagnani on the back of the bench and say thumbs up or thumbs down on whether I should challenge because he's watching the replay real quick. No, Darko looked up at the Jumbotron and watched the challenge on the screen and decided for himself to trust and call that for Dennis. And it worked out. And it was a really good sign of faith and standing up for a veteran backup point guard, Dennis Schroeder. And I love that. Some people have wondered about Dennis and how he feels about our current state of affairs. The media is asking. A lot of people are saying this. No, listen, he's a real pro, and he believes in Darko, and he wants to help Darko no matter what. And he will change and mold his role and what he's doing for the team to help it win the best. And that's the thing. Dennis is going to be steady like this amidst all this chaos. And that's part of the reason why people need to respect him and give him a little bit more credit for like being very malleable and flexible to go with what's best for the team at any time, and really is a real one. He really, really loves Darko, and Darko and the Raptors going to go through a tough period. Well, Dennis is ready to go through it with us and do it at a high level and try and help us as best as he can. Jimmy's saying Gary's minutes are down. His attempts are down, being used much differently. All percentages are the same. All this hate is unnecessary. Just look at his yearly stats. Yeah, I'm not hating on him. I think you're mistaking criticism as hate. This is not hate. Hate is Gary's ugly and I hate him off. Get him off my team. That is hate. No, this is me saying I want Gary to shoot better. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that, because he truly is capable. And he probably tell you himself, I need to shoot better, Jimmy Pope. And Raptors Freak is right. It's nothing I'm doing that's out of bounds. This isn't toxic Raptors fan behavior, what I'm doing. This is just me still disappointed in Gary's overall year this year. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair. If you're a Raptors fan, you understand what Gary's done in the years past. And I don't think he's had his best Raptors year this year. No, I don't think he has. I think last year was his best year as a Raptor, maybe. And you can say his attempts are down. That's not actually true. I don't feel like that's true. Nick may have really focused on him in ways last year that really catered to him and did things. But in some ways, Darko's philosophy is like very much not like nurturing everybody, not nurturing one individual like Siakam or Gary or Fred. It's about getting everybody and getting everybody kind of shots naturally through the flow of the offense off of each other. In some ways, Gary is the kind of player that works very well as an individual making his own shot, and he doesn't have to work with other people. And this is something that Darko gave credit to Gary Trent Jr. He said a lot of things about Gary in the press conference in the last day. He's very impressed with his on-the-ball hands and how he can play defense, the stuff that Nick Nurse kind of developed out of him when he first came from Portland. And he's also very impressed with him getting better about passing the ball this year. That in some ways, one of the knocks on Gary in the past years was he's a black hole. If you pass the ball to Gary, he's not going to pass it back out to anybody else. He's going to work to find his own shot once he's got it. And he'll just do a dribble to step or dribble to the side, not a double dribble, just a little dribble move into the side and try and shake his defender and shoot himself. Well, this year, Darko's philosophy has forced Gary to pass it along more often. That as soon as the ball he gets, it used to be his old behavior was, I'm going to try and find my shot now. Then you never look to pass. Well, he's passing more. And Darko gave him more credit for being a part of the new offensive set and being able to suss. Because like some of the things that he said was, I didn't like how Gary was taking so difficult shots, like low percentage shots against the defense, just trying to make circus shots over people. We know about those shots. They're old DeMar DeRozan kind of shots he used to take 10 years ago. And also Gary was doing those shots last year. There were a lot of shot selection shots that Gary had last year that were very poor. Like shit where he was going up against three defenders and trying to twist and turn and shoot a fadeaway. That's shit that Darko said, no, we're not doing those kind of ineffective low percentage shots anymore. And he's had to train Gary to not do that kind of shit. If he has those kind of situations developing, he's supposed to do the next pass when it's coming with extra defenders at him. So there has been a little bit of change for Gary and how he's had to operate under Darko's system for sure in an adjustment period. And in some ways that should be taken into account for the difference in his output this year. But Darko likes the progress he's been making with those changes, and he's been a good pro and very good about trying to do it himself. It's not like he's fighting against it. Gary Trent Jr. is an ultimate pro. In a lot of ways, I very much value that. I very much do, especially in a team that's shifting and in flux and has all kinds of different weird things going on with it. Having pros like Dennis Schroeder and Gary Trent Jr. and Thad Young on your team that will go through whatever stage and whatever thing and do what they do solidly, no matter what, that's important. I just wish Gary was solidly doing what they're doing more consistently. That's all. I really am not trying to go at him. Nako saying, I would rather ride with Grady than Gary. In some ways, over time, we may see a more consistency over long term with Grady than with Gary. That if Grady can come up as a 3-point shooter and he is more consistent and we can count on him to make these threes, well, in some ways that may happen. In some ways that may happen over time. Nameless is saying, Chris, exactly, agreed. That's the exact moment I turned the game off and watched Stranger Things instead. The refs are only watching one team on both ends of the court. A lot of it last night is the matchup with the Clippers. In some ways, it's not that the refs are very biased against us completely. That is part of it. But it is the esteem of the players on their roster. And that in some ways, they're going to get all kinds of crazy, weird, favorable calls, partly because that's Kawhi Leonard. That's James Harden. That's Russell Westbrook. That is Paul George. And there's a whole career and history with those guys that you have to kind of respect as refs. It's the whole reason why Grady got that blocking call when it probably should have been an offensive charge. It's the whole reason why right there. Alvin said it on the broadcast. He said, well, this is exactly what it is. That's a rookie and that's a Hall of Famer. And the calls are going to be a little biased in games like that with that kind of difference in experience. In some ways, they do cater to a seniority in the NBA with the referees. They definitely do. Jimmy's saying he has played more than 30 minutes only 5 times this year. In his best year with us and Scotty's Rookie of the Year, he played 30 or more minutes 68 times. Well, part of it is like, look, Gary used to get more leash with Nick in some ways, and he'd allow him to be out there even when he wasn't shooting well. Well, Darko's not giving Gary as much of a leash. If Gary gets out there and he misses like 3 out of his first 4 shots, well, maybe he's getting his minutes cut down later in the game because he's not viewed as being on tonight. I mean, that's smart coaching. I don't know how you can't get around that. In some ways, maybe Nick was irresponsible with Gary last year as far as like playing him way too much when he shouldn't have been playing him and he was being inconsistent, as part of his fucked up shit that he was doing on the down low. I don't know. In some ways, we gotta understand this is a new regime. It's a new coach. He has new ideas about how he does things. And if Gary wants to survive on this team and stay on this team, he's got to get with the program. And that's it. And I know he's trying, and I know he's doing things. He's not fighting against it. It's just the success is a different level than it was in the past. Now, to me, it's not about how many minutes. It's not about starting or coming off the bench. It's about when he is open, is he making the three? That's the only thing that matters in this. It has nothing to do with whether he's starting. It doesn't matter with how many minutes. It has to do with the one moment when he is wide open and he shoots that three. Is it going in? That is the only thing I'm judging him on right now, Jimmy. That is it. That is it. Dana's saying, Will Lou gets my 2-finger salute today. Maybe this will be a new regular segment. Dana's 2-finger salute. Today she's giving the 2-finger salute to William Lou for his appearance on Open Gym last night. Yeah, I'm all about that. Nako's saying Sampson is probably the best out of the Raptors press. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's up there. Oren has his times where he's good and bad. He's annoyed me more this year than usual. But usually Oren Weisfeld is one of my favorite Raptors press people. Of course, I like the ladies. Both Kayla and Savannah are really good with their questions usually. Let's see. Who else has kind of been there that I don't mind? It's pretty good. Lewinberg is okay. Like Lewinberg is kind of one that I kind of like in general in a lot of different ways. Josh Lewinberg is one of the better Raptors media people in a lot of different ways. One of the most professional, first of all, one of the less likely to be muckraking and kind of sensationalizing things. He's a more of just the facts guy. And I think he's really solid. And so Lewinberg's definitely one of my favorites out of all of them. Jimmy's saying last year he played more than 30 minutes. This year, only 5 of his course or stats are down. Yeah, Jimmy, it's good. I love that you're standing up for Gary. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's what a Raptor freak does. And it's funny, too, when you stand up for a Raptor against me, well, in some ways, you're just speaking my love language, my man. I love that you love Gary that much, that you're mad at me for saying that you're telling me that I'm just spouting hate for no reason. That's not what I'm doing. I love Gary. I want him to get better. I want him to do better. That's all I'm trying to say here. But I know he could do better. That's all I'm saying. And I want him to do better. Nameless is saying, what got me is when Kawhi challenged his foul and won. Yeah, that was interesting. That was not a call by Tyronn Lue. That was Kawhi Leonard calling the challenge straight up. Straight up, Kawhi called that challenge himself, and he won it. Yeah, that was true. That was funny. But on the replay, you see Paul George's forearm into the stomach. If that was Toronto, you get another infamous however call from the refs. That's what I'm saying. You're exactly right, Nameless. In fact, I'm doing such a good job of teaching what I'm seeing in the games. You guys are seeing the ref manipulations and figuring them out on your own watching the game. I love that, my paisan. As much as you are teaching me Italiano, I am teaching you the ref manipulations, and you are recognize exactly what happened there. That's true. That in some ways on that call, it would have been a however call, and they may have taken the call off of Leonard and put it on George and just said the same call. But instead, you know what happened? It all worked out anyway. They put a jump ball in the middle of the court, and we easily won it and got possession anyway. So it all worked out. As Alvin would say, ball don't lie. And the ball went into our possession, even though Kawhi won the challenge. They didn't do a however and say, well, however, Kawhi didn't do the foul. Paul George did, and it's still Toronto Raptors ball. No, instead, they put a jump ball in the middle, said Kawhi was right, and sufficed him, but we won the jump ball. What a wacky world. Race Mode saying, F Will Lou, bring back Alex Wong. When history is told, this will be known as the Masai Golden Era. Raptors will be a dynasty. There you go, Edmund. That's the kind of positive talk I love. Right there. I love the word dynasty with the word Raptors. I would love to have that someday. This may not be the period of the dynasty connecting the first one, but if we get a dynasty some point with Scott Barnes, woo, I would love that. I would. Most saying, see, MSJ, aka Chris. Now you know why I hate Will Lou. Yeah, he's annoying. I don't know why. I didn't like that being the little ending of that show, of the open gym last night. Why do you have to end with Will Lou? It's not like his words are eloquent or interesting. They're sad, depressing, and it's his own fucking opinion. And it doesn't mean that it's reality. It doesn't mean that it's the truth. It's just him fucking wanting to preemptively declare that the Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan cycle of this franchise is over. I'm the expert on this because I'm on Sportsnet on a show called The Raptors Show. So I'm just going to say this is over, guys. Sorry, I've declared it. Who the fuck are you to declare that the cycle of DeMar and Kyle is over? Who the fuck are you? These guys have been gone for a long time already. And you're going to just decide it now because Siakam and Anunoby are gone? Nah, they passed that knowledge down to Scott. And Scott has got it in him. Scott has got it in him. That's right. That's right. All right, let me see what else you guys are saying. Fiercely saying, heading out to my daughter's game. Hang in there, fam. Nothing but positivity on the horizon. I'm with you, Fiercely. I'm with you. I'm with you, Jimmy. I love Gary. I want him to play better. Hanging on with positivity. That's what we're doing, Fiercely. And I hope your daughter has a great game. Triple dubs. Get that 73, Fiercely Salcera Jr. Get out there and kick some butt. And get that 73 like Luka last night. I want to see that. Yeah. Nameless is saying, we're the only team with no home court advantage. When we play a bad team at home, the refs don't call anything at all, and that allows subpar teams to compete. Either way, it's designed to hurt us. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that have been designed to hurt us in the last few years in the Raptors, in the NBA, and it is what it is. In some ways, we got to play against different rules, and that's why we have to be that much better. That's right. Fun guy saying, I was really pissed to start this game. The ref screwed us. RJ was getting literally arm slapped at the rim like 3 in a row and no call. I would have gotten ejected, man, right away. Laugh out loud. I know. That was very true. I saw the disrespect towards RJ and not getting any calls right away. Once again, we have to realize, and this will be a strength and why the Clippers are going to do so well in the postseason. Those guys have personas and reputations that precede them. And in some ways, the reputation of the players is what's getting reffed and not necessarily the actions on the court. And that's something that has the Clippers have a very huge strength in with their team that they've got. Chris is saying, I think Brown is gone come early February at Country Kong. He's a decent player, but not a fit for us. Soon you will see Grady Dick out there for 30 minutes a game. Yeah, just give it some time, JP. It'll happen. Don't worry about this. Darko said this too. They asked him straight up, is Grady going to play more now that we're focusing more on development for this year? And he said, yes. Yes, Grady will play more. Now, this will be interesting to see. Is Grady going to get to play at the 2:00 game today? Grand Rapids Gold, Paramount Fine Food Center, Raptors 905. At 2:00 start. So they're going to start playing in 3 hours from now, y'all. We got a 9:05 game today. Let me do this ref report real quick. The referees for the Raptors 9:05 game at 2 o'clock today is JD Rawls, the crew chief, number 80. The referee is Kelsey Reynolds, number 15. And the umpire is Jacob Barnett, number 32. 2 o'clock start, 9:05. Grady's probably going to get on a plane with the Raptors and go to Atlanta today. Can they time it where he can play in that game till 4 o'clock and then they get on the plane at 5 and he goes with the Raptors? Or will he just miss this G League game today altogether and just travel with the Raptors to Atlanta? I know he's going to Atlanta. So are they going to be able to wedge this afternoon game in with the 9:05 for him to get extra run and more minutes out there? Or will they say, no, we don't care? Is Javon Freeman Liberty and Marquise Noel, are they going to be traveling with the team? Probably not. They'll probably be at the 9:05 game, and I don't probably see Kyra Lewis Jr. also. Will they be going with the team for it? We had 15 guys dressed yesterday, and in some ways, those 2 ways are not totally necessary to come on this road trip, and they'd be better off playing with the 9:05 and sticking with them on the course of this road trip coming up. So we'll have to see. Grady's probably for sure going with the Raptors. But I could see Kyra Lewis Jr. and Javon Freeman Liberty going and staying with the 9:05 in the next week or so. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Chris is saying, I think Brown. Okay, I read that one. Nameless is saying, Dennis is a bit of an idiot. He says a lot of dumbass shit. I don't know if that's exactly true. I think that he's very outspoken and he's open. In some ways, maybe he's open to a fault like I am and other people. Sometimes, like Jonte was a little open to a fault the other day. In some ways, maybe Dennis is telling a little bit too much of our business. If you notice, Dennis's YouTube channel has been dormant for at least 3 months. Like I don't know if it's 3, it may be 2 months, but he has not made any game day blogs or anything on his YouTube channel, and hardly any for his wife either, Ellen. She has not been posting either. So to me, that means that they have things going on in their life. There's turmoil, and that they don't want to broadcast or put out there. It could very well be the Raptors organization told Dennis not to put so much on his YouTube channel, and he had to dial it back. I think that also in the past, when he's played for teams like the Lakers and other teams before, with his YouTube channel, he's taken long breaks during the season because maybe this season is too hectic. Maybe he has too much to worry about with the changes on the Raptors as far as like getting these new guys and learning them and practicing with them. He doesn't have time to worry about his YouTube channel. And that in some ways the priority list gets shortened. And that is one of the things that just goes away temporarily when things are super hectic. And I feel like that's what's happening with the Schroeder family right now. Is their life is very hectic. It's a little bit turmoil because the Raptors franchise is such upheaval. And he's just trying to like navigate everyday life in the NBA with so many games and so much going on. He has no time for making his YouTube content. Listen, I'm not going to get behind this. Now, I'm going to say this, Jimmy Pope. That is hating towards a player, what Nameless did, that's unnecessary. That is not constructive criticism. That's actually hate. And that's not what I'm doing to Gary. He's saying that Dennis is an idiot and says a lot of dumbass shit. Well, in some ways, that's borderline hating on our player, Nameless. But I'll allow it, Paisano. Even though I love Dennis, I was trying to describe a little bit there. Space Cadet saying, why do Raptors fans on Twitter get angry when our media people praise our former players like Pascal and OG? It's weird. And in some ways, I get this because in some ways, we are kind of like so cutthroat that it's like like if you're not with us, you're against us. That mentality can be pervasive in sports. It's not just us. It's like the Celtics fans can be like this. The Knicks fans can be like this. Some of the Knicks fans have cut off RJ and Emmanuel because they're not wearing the blue and orange anymore. And some Raptors fans mimic this also. Some ways I get it. You're not on our team anymore. You left. You dissed us, whatever, Kawhi, whatever this. I don't want to be their fans anymore. And I diss them. It's really freedom of choice, Space Cadet. Some people are not classy and they can be petty and they can hold grudges. Some people will say my grudge towards Vince Carter is petty or Nick Nurse. That's petty. But I feel like it's justified from my own logic and reasoning. But that's freedom of choice. Some people may look at you and say, you shouldn't be so mean to Vince Carter, Lex, or you should respect our champion coach, Nick Nurse, better. I'll say, well, you should fucking understand why these fucks are fuck faces for what they did. And, we can have differences of opinions. So some people may be against Pascal and OG They may be people that didn't like them when they played for us. And they're like, now they're not on this team. I can really hate on them. There could be a lot of different reasons. There could be a lot of different reasons. And I get it. A lot of the anger on Twitter is stupid. There's a lot of dumb anger on there for really, really stupid shit. And some of it's not educated either. So, yeah, Space Cadet, praise to you that you still go in the drudgery of toxic Twitter and read Raptors opinions. I don't do that anymore. I gave up on that. At a certain point since I've been doing this channel, I was like, Twitter, I'm throwing my hands up on you. I cannot listen to all your stupid ass opinions anymore because they're not worthwhile. They really aren't. And yeah, I think that's what it is. It's if you're not with us, you're against us, and fuck you. You're not with us, then you're gone. And that's kind of the attitude that's there. Randolph saying, Saturday blessings, beloved Raptor freaks. Most informative game. I encourage you to not focus on the wins, but on the development and progress of those that are the future of this team. Exactly. Randolph Phillips is right on, and I believe this is true. Fans that want winning and just care about the wins, well, go take a break. Go hibernate for a bit as Raptors fans. Maybe go root for Pascal and the Pacers. Maybe go root for OG and the Knicks. Go root for Kawhi, Norman, and the Clippers. I don't care. Be a turncoat this year. You don't have a rooting interest in the Raptors because they're not competitive. Well, go take your secondary team's flag and run that flag for the rest of the year. That's fine with me. Maybe you don't care about basketball enough other than the Raptors, and maybe you go focus on spring training for the Blue Jays or the Leafs and what's happening with them in the NHL. And there's other distractions. It's also going to be gardening season soon. Maybe you can get into gardening this year instead of worrying about the Raptors and the end of their season. There's all kinds of options. And I agree with Randolph. I appreciate the compliments. Most informative game. We're trying here. We trying. You know, if you really want to be up to snuff on everything Raptors, this is your channel. This really is. I love Sean Woodley. Locked on Raptors. That guy's great. But you know what? You can be locked on Raptors and you can live Raptors. And in some ways, I'm living Raptors. And in some ways, Sean Woodley, you're locked on Raptors. Well, I'm living Raptors. Let's just put it that way. Every morning, 9:30 a.m. Yeah, every single fucking day for the last 2 years. I'm going to get to 1,000 days in a row soon. Sometime this summer, y'all, we'll be celebrating the 1,000 days in a row of Raptor streams. That is huge. I was calculating when will you get to 10,000 days, Lex? In 30 years. If we get to 10,000 streams in a row on this channel, y'all, whoo, that'll be something. Because I'll be almost 70 at that point, and it'll be very interesting. It might be very interesting at that point doing the Raptors Freak channel in 30 years from now. What will it look like by then? What will have happened? We'll have to see. If you'll go on this ride with me, please, let's go together. G saying Grady is smart, coachable, and a quick learner. Yes, yes, and yes. I like how Grady described it after the game, the interaction with Darko after the flagrant foul on James, the flagrant foul, not flagrant. It was funny because they had already been talking about certain stuff. And Grady said there was just a look from Darko and a smile and a laugh. And Grady kind of looked and smiled and laughed at it too. It caught it on camera in the game camera. That was the whole point of that. He was saying that sometimes when he messes up, there is a very stern talking to by Darko to him. But this was one of those moments where he knew he fucked up. And he said they kind of just looked at each other and laughed at each other because they didn't have to say anything. Well, if the player and the coach are getting to that level where there's communication without saying something and they have that kind of stuff, this is good. This is really, really good. So, yeah, he's awesome. He's smart. He's coachable. He's a quick learner. And honestly, I'm really impressed with where he puts his body on the court in any given second. Whether it's the aptitude to run in and do that crazy offensive rebound off the missed free throw, whether it's just being in the right place to steal the ball by running into the passing lane of the other team, whatever he's doing it good. Keep going. You're going to get better and better, Grady. And like I said, if you decide to become some sort of scrappy, annoying pest defender at some point in your career and you're anywhere near on the scale of Caruso, I'll be very happy about that. That will be a very cool development to an idea of what Grady Dick could be as a player in this league. If he's a two-way player all of a sudden because he's an upper level defensive genius as far as knowing where to put his body and just get stuff to happen, yeah, he's going to be really good then. And then we'll understand why Bobby and Masai are so huge in thinking about what Grady Dick's potential is in the future. If they can unlock him defensively, wow. That's something I wouldn't have seen in my early scout of him last year. I was like, this guy will never be able to play in defense in the NBA. But there are little signs from games like last night that tell me that Grady Dick may have a whole level of defense in the NBA that we didn't even realize. In some ways, it has to be ensconced with good, talented team defenders around him, but there's certain things he could do to really cause shit disturbing, like a Conchair, like a Caruso in the future. And that may be an aspect about Grady Dick that none of us actually anticipated. And that would be very, very cool to see happen. Name was saying 100% fun guy straight away. It was a hit job. First 5 minutes, it was like, here we go again. Now, I didn't see that. I don't see that. I saw us missing shots and I saw the Clippers making shots. And that's kind of where they started separating. In some ways, that's the big difference last night. They shot way better than us and we didn't shoot that well. And that's going to hurt us. That's going to hurt us. Let's do the team stats real quick. A team review of the team stats. We shot 45.8% and they shot 50% exactly. They took one less shot on goal than us and they made 4 more shots. They made 3 more 3-pointers than us. They didn't even shoot that well from 3. Honestly, they could have been dialed in more and they would have destroyed us even worse. But yeah, 18.8% from 3, 6 of 32. It's just one of those really bad 3-point shooting nights for the Raptors where you really can't expect yourself to win. And then if you shoot 60% at the free throw line also, that's just bad. We lost the rebounding battle by 5, 50-45. It could have been a lot worse. We did get our 25 assists. Thank God. We only got to 26. And that's good because we want to keep this streak alive. In some ways, as positive Raptors fans, this is something we can champion and be very proud of, is the Raptors have a streak of 25 plus assists in 28 games now. And they're moving up the leaderboard in that category. And we could very much maybe even take the record for most games in a row of the Raptors having 25 assists plus per game. So that's a good thing to focus on and keep track of right now is the assists, not only for Darko's charitable contributions that he's just recently announced, but for the team trying to continue to keep this team record going of consecutive games with 25 plus assists. So I'm really happy they got to it last night. In some ways, this is something we're going to pay attention to right now because this is a streak we got going, and we should. Let's see. The steals and the blocks were, they had 7 blocks, which was amazing. The turnovers were even. Fast break points, not too much negligible. And then also points in the paint, 70-66. That's not really that bad. And even this, guys, you guys think that the refs were against us, but the foul calls were very even in some ways, 18-17. So it's not like they were super, super bad in that way. So you guys are saying that there was a hit job, but I don't think that's true. I don't think it was completely a hit job. I think that there were bad calls that favored the veteranness of the Clippers at times, but for the most part, there wasn't any real overall hit job that was fixing the game to make sure the Clippers would win. Babe, can you try and keep it quiet in the kitchen, please? I know you can't control the phone. Yeah, I'm at Adriana's, obviously. She's in there trying to make breakfast and stuff. All right, let me see what else is going on with you guys in the chat, and we'll get done before noon. Let's see. Infamous is saying, I hope. I'm sorry, I can hear her talk in the other room. I hope what I've feared is not coming to fruition. The Raptors becoming a farm system for the rest of the NBA. We develop players to feed other teams. Well, this is what they wanted to set up for a while, and they were successfully doing this for a bit. But we bucked that system recently. It may seem like it was what happened with Siakam and Anunoby, but that's not true. If they had left earlier in their careers, then it would have been more like that. It's more like this. Your farm system, if you have guys leaving from your team after their rookie contracts constantly, if you are able to sign them to contracts after their rookie contracts, well, that's not a farm system because you're getting these players during their times where they're actually maturing and getting to their levels. Like Siakam and Anunoby got to their full potential development while they were Raptors. And in some ways, we got to enjoy time with them at those levels before they moved on. I don't agree with this. I think there's other teams that are very much more like farm systems because of what I just said. The New York Knicks could not retain any of their young players, and they kept moving on over time. In some ways, the Knicks have been a farm system in recent years. In some ways, the RJ and Emmanuel move to come to us symbolizes this, that those are 2 young players that in some ways were farmed by the New York Knicks for a little while, and now they're coming to us and afterwards. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. If the NBA had their way, they would have this, but Masai ain't about this. And you think he's going to go along with this? No. So it may be that we have renewal right now, and some of these guys that we've developed and gotten to certain levels have gone on to new places, and it seems like it's a farm, but it's not. That's not what it is. Kyle Lowry was never a part of that. We had him very long into his career. So I'll disagree with this. I don't want this kind of shit to happen. And I know Masai doesn't either, and he won't let it happen. How about that? How about that? Some ways, young guys are going to get shipped out from here, and it's going to look like, oh, they went and blowed up somewhere else. No, in some ways, you could say maybe the championship team was a farm system of really good championship caliber players that went to other places now, and we see that at this point. I guess maybe you could describe it that way, but it's not necessarily a bunch of young players coming into the league and being like all taken from us as soon as they get through their first contract. I'm gonna finish this stream real quick because I feel like she's like needing me to get off the air.
I don't need you to do anything.
What's going on with you then?
Don't worry about it. None of your concern.
Okay, well, can I have my studio, please? I'm sorry. It's very distracting what's going on.
I apologize.
All right. It's all good. I love you.
I love you too, babe.
All right, that's what matters. All right, let's keep going. All right, Chris is saying at Raptors superfan Monique, yeah, he's annoying. That Will Lou guy, nearly snarky out there on the team. I don't get it. Why the Raps media would even think to keep him on. Also, Chris are my BECG are my real initials. Okay, so Chris is your middle name. All right, I will go by this. The reason why they want him is because he's being the way he's being, and that is what Rodgers wants. He wants little assholes gaslighting and kind of being snarky and kind of putting down the Raptors on the down low on the broadcast. If the media disrespects the Raptors, then people will be taught to disrespect the Raptors. It's the NBA proper in the US, and TNT and ESPN are already disrespecting the Raptors. The Canadian media is disrespecting the Raptors. No wonder Raptors Twitter disrespects the Raptors so openly, because it's a conditioned taught to them by everybody else. It's like kind of like if there's one guy in your class in school that everybody bullies, everybody's conditioning everybody to bully the Raptors or bully that kid. Well, some of the kids in the class don't have to bully him, and then they say, I'm not bullying him. I'm not getting behind this. In some ways, that's what this is. If the media is teaching Raptors Nation to bully their own team, well, what the fuck? You understand why people are acting the way they are on social media. So, yeah, that's part of it, is that they're trying to teach people to disrespect us, to look down on us, and not feel like we are worthy of any kind of like good things or respect. And I hate that. I hate that. In some ways, it is very much from the very top. Ed Rogers III, very much from the top. Name was saying, Monique is our in-house celebrity. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Monique is like, honestly, I'm so happy that she chooses to be a part of our family and that she's here quite often, almost every day. That I'm honestly, to me, she's the epitome of what a Raptors fan is. As somebody who just really, really loves their team, no conditions. And I look to her for leadership in our fan nation because I know she is the epitome of a real one. And that's what I'm saying right there. JP saying, Chris, I hope so. Otherwise, this season may not have been used well. Usually when teams are rebuilding, they have young players to develop. We only have Barbecue and Grady investing games to showcase Bruce. Well, we got to showcase Bruce before we trade him, hopefully, by February the 9th. So the clock is ticking, JP. February the 9th, that's the trade deadline. And in some ways, we got 11 days, something like that, to show him off before we got to move him. So I can see this. Once again, let's not like, some ways you guys are using very negative language. One of the things y'all got to realize is your self-talk can really help your life. Whether you have negative self-talk, it'll make your life worse. Or if you positive self-talk yourself in your mind, that can really help you too. It can be profound life changes. If you really pay attention to the verbiage, the words you use, and the way you talk. And saying stuff like this is just Debbie Downer stuff, Country Calm. It doesn't matter how many players we have on the team that are young that we're trying to develop. We just need to develop Scotty. We just need to develop RJ. We just need to develop Emmanuel. We just need to develop Grady. I don't give a shit. Jonte's in there too. I mean, there's a lot of young guys on this team. In some ways, you could say we're developing Gary because he's so young still. So, I mean, I don't know why you're trying to paint it as we don't have enough young players to develop. I know that some people were saying on Twitter, it seems like the Raptors now either have 23 and under or 30 and over. And that whole range in between 23 and 30 is empty of anybody of that age at this point. Some people are very much still like, get rid of all the old guys so we can be exactly like OKC. And I'm like, no, they have value. We've seen Thaddeus Young play at a high level last night. He still belongs in this league. And people that think that the old guys have no place on our team, well, they're short-sighted and they really don't understand how valuable and important they are. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. And I wouldn't paint it as like we're failing at this country con. No matter what we do, we're doing stuff. And it's not failure. It's going to be developing and, we're going to lose. But it's not failure. And stop trying to paint it those ways. Look into your own self-talk and shape your own world with positivity. How about that? That's what I would say. Space Cadet is saying that if we are rebuilding, they better reduce the prices for tickets. We've gone over this a few times. Well, listen, we don't control this. We got to realize what we can and cannot control in our lives. And we can't control what MLSE is going to charge. What you can control is whether you buy those tickets. And if you don't buy those tickets, if enough people do decide not to buy those tickets, Space Cadet, well, the message is clear to 905 to the MLSE, and they need to maybe adjust. Well, that's the buyer's power. If you don't like the prices of the tickets, don't buy them and send a message to them. Some people are going to go still, and they're going to pay the tickets. I'm already on tap to go to 2 games in February, the Siakam and the Fred VanVleet return games. And I don't mind paying that much because I love these guys. These are Raptors legends, and I want to say hello to them when they return for the first time in other teams' jerseys. It's worth it to me. Now, different people may say, oh, that's way too much. I'm not fucking going. But I'm not trying to go see AC/DC for $100. I'm not trying to go down to the entertainment district on a Saturday night and run up a $300 drinking tab. No, I'll spend my extra money on a Raptors game, even if it's overpriced and the team is losing. So it's every individual consumer's decision. If you want to add to the voices that say this is too high, I'm taking a stand and I'm not going to buy any more Raptors tickets for the rest of the season. I fully support you. And I think you're right. I'm not arguing with what you're saying. But this is an opportunity for us to control what we can control, and that is whether we buy those tickets or not. We cannot control what they're going to put the prices at. And just so you know, they're going to tell you, well, it's not because of the team. The team can be bad. We're still going to charge you the same. We're upgrading the building this summer. So we need the money from the tickets so we can pay for the additions and the new stuff we do to the Scotiabank Arena. That'll be the reasoning for that. That'll be the reasoning right there. If we see a ticket price drop next year, that would be fantastic. They don't really do it in the middle of the season, just so you know. It's more likely they'll look and maybe they'll adjust and say, all right, well, we're in a kind of a retool mode and we're not expected to win as much. The product may not be as good on the court. Maybe we should lower ticket prices. Did any fucking greedy ass capitalist fucking corporation ever say that? You got to think about this realistically. Fun guy saying, seriously, Nameless, that was my reaction. Like, Jesus, really? To start the game right away, making it so obvious, laugh out loud. I've had it to be ejected first few seconds. Yeah, the RJ non-calls on his offensive moves were infuriating and upsetting. But once again, it's something we're used to. And in some ways, that may not be right, that we're supposed to just be used to getting shafted on calls like that. I don't know. In some ways, it's like it's the Clippers once again. Maybe RJ gets that call against most of the teams in the league. But when it's him going up against Paul George or Kawhi Leonard and they're thinking about their foul trouble or they're thinking about like the Hall of Fame-ness of them, it may be that we just don't get that battle or that consideration. I mean, I look at these guys and I'm like looking at Harden, Westbrook. Harden and Westbrook both got 3 fouls. George got 0 and Leonard got 0 fouls. So see, in some ways, it's like the reputation of Kawhi Leonard being one of the best defenders in the world with his hands. You know, he may foul people all over the place and they give him no calls because of his reputation that he built up as a career. That's part of it too. Let's see. Nameless is saying Monique gets the red carpet treatment whenever she goes. Yeah, she does. She does, especially in that arena. She very much does, especially in that arena. Nameless saying, I want to see Darko just get ejected one of these days. We will. At some point, we will. And in some ways, he could have gotten ejected in that Lakers game, and I would have really respected it. But I'll bet you there will be an opportunity for Darko to get ejected at some point. Fun guy saying, holy shit, I almost forgot about the flagrant call. Laughed my ass off. My head almost exploded. Yeah, that was messed up. Trevor's saying tickets for Raptors game in Houston, starting price 53 and up. The Raptors game in Houston, the one that Trevor's going to, the one in Houston, the starting price is $53 and up. That's about the same as us. That's about the same as us. Yeah, I'd say that our cheapest ticket in the arena right now is around 53, maybe a little bit more expensive because the Canadian conversion to dollars. But yeah, that's about the same. That's about the same as the bottom price. The bottom price for a Houston Rockets ticket for the Raptors game that Trevor's going to is $53. Okay, that's about the same as here. Monique is saying, even though Jalen McDaniels doesn't get enough minutes, he's staying positive. We know what the season is. A great guy all around. He's surprised I knew his name. That's awesome. I love this. Monique, I'm going to give you a 3-pointer for visiting with Jalen McDaniels and telling us about the exchange that you had with him, that he was impressed that you knew his name. That's awesome. Poor guy. He's really humble, it sounds like. If he's like, you know my name? That's awesome. And then I like that she found out that he's staying positive and that he knows what this season's all about. In some ways, Jalen's another name that should have been talked about in the young guys developing just 5 minutes ago. And we got Scotty, we got Grady, we got BBQ, we got, Jalen McDaniels. He's another person that may get more time as this end of the season happens. And maybe Darko develops Jalen McDaniels into the next level. And all of a sudden, Jalen McDaniels next year is a very steady rotation player for us because he got unlocked a little bit at the end of this year and this summer. That would be fantastic development route or plan for Jalen McDaniels. I love that you saw him last night. You got a great picture with him. That's awesome, Mo. 3-pointer for you. Infamous is saying, I like the honest criticism Alvin had towards Scotty. Very refreshing. Saying get back on defense instead of arguments. Yeah. Alvin's been awesome. In some ways, listen, a lot of the stuff that I know about basketball is from listening to people like QB Brown, Jack Ramsey, Leo Routens, Jack Armstrong, Alvin Williams. These kind of voices of knowledge are the ones that taught me since the 80s. When I was a little kid, I'd listen to the color commentators in games, Vern Lundquist and Herbie Brown calling the fucking game on CBS in the 80s, listening to, different announcing crews in the 90s with people like Dr. Jack Ramsey and Bob Neal. And, it's just, this is who taught me. And Alvin is continuing to teach at this time. And I love that kind of stuff is awesome. Honest criticism. This is the kind of stuff, Scotty is listening to people. He's going to get better and better and better. He can listen to the broadcast and maybe he hears Alvin say some of the stuff he says. He's like, wow, okay, I'm going to take that into account. I'm listening to Thad. I'm listening to Otto. I'm listening to Darko. I'm going to get better. And that's what we need. Scotty's going to get better and better and better. Nameless is saying, he didn't know you were one of the greatest Raptor freaks in the nation, Monique. That's right. Well, he didn't understand. The superfan Monique Lawrence knows all the Raptors. That's right. She has known many, many obscure, unknown Raptors. And of course, she's going to know Jalen McDaniels is. Of course, she's going to know. Chris is saying at Country Kong, I can't see Brown staying. We get another pick. Also, inflation is a result of fractional reserve banking. Got to win a war to keep shit going. Laugh out loud. Politics is just smokes and mirrors. I'm not bringing up politics. I'm bringing up prices. And that is not necessarily politics, Chris. That is greed of corporatism. You can say that inflation is a result of fractional reserve banking. No, it's greed. It's unchecked greed. These people are raising prices with monopolizing how many different companies you can get. It's the same thing with the cable companies. The consolidation of Shaw into Rogers recently is not a good thing. Now that Rogers can basically not have, there's no options other than Rogers in a lot of ways. If you want cable, well, you're at their mercy for how much they want to charge you. So no, this is corporatism and gaming the system for them to shut more and more people out of competition, and then they get to raise their prices as they want to. And there's all kinds of companies getting in trouble for this. The bread companies got in trouble for price gouging recently. Egg companies are in trouble for this. There's all kinds of fucked up bullshit where people are trying to just pass all this crazy price gouging onto us. And this is why all these how much you go to the store. And somebody said the other day on my show, and a bag of apples was $9. Like that's crazy. A bag of apples in like last 10 years ago or even 5 years ago may have been $4 or $5, and it's doubled in price. That's what I'm saying. That's the stuff that's messed up. And it has really, in some ways, the politics of it is they are supposed to safeguard this shit and stop it from happening, investigate it, and quit this shit. And in some ways, the U.S. is doing a better job at this than we are. Biden's been very antitrust kind of shit and going after monopolies and fucking corporations that are setting their prices astronomically and price gouging us all. In some ways, the U.S. is doing better at this than we are here in Canada. So we need to get in line up here and go after people like the Weston family and people like that are gouging us at prices where we pay. Yeah, you can say it's politics and smoke and mirrors. Don't bring in that bullshit. It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with greed. It has to do with corporate greed and bottom lines and increasing profits at the detriment of the everyday family and their lifestyle. Yeah. Isaac saying, you are awesome, Mo. Nice dunk. Yeah, I'm going to give her an extra dunk from Isaac Campbell. So she's got 12 now. That's right. Double-digit dunks this year so far, Monique, in January. Fun guy saying, I don't mean to be a casual, but that's about it for me. I only watched it till almost halfway to the third. I don't smoke anymore, and my interest is basically out the window, but I'll come to engage here and there. Fun guy, you are welcome here anytime. This is home. And listen, once again, I don't expect everybody to live the life of the Raptors like I do, especially when they're bad like this. So you guys are always welcome here. And in some ways, I won't call you a casual for that because I know your time invested on this channel and just invested as being a Raptors fan. But everybody needs a break sometimes. It's a marathon now being an NBA fan. It's not just a season thing anymore. We're doing the off season and everything's always something going on. So anybody who wants to take a break during a time like this, in some ways I get it. And I don't like discount you or look down on you or say you're not a real one. Everybody's got lives. And especially these days with some of the stuff I just talked about, making ends meet is tougher than ever. And if you don't have the freedom of time to hang around and watch the Raptors lose and go through it with them, I get it. I get it. And I won't think any less of you. And I'll appreciate when I get to see your name in the chat again. So yeah, come in and hang out with us. You don't have to even watch the Raptors games. We'll tell you how it's going. And you can just have the fun of the channel still. However you want to do it, my man. Jimmy saying, I fell asleep in the second. Fun guy. Let my ass off. This game was not as fun as the one in LA against the Clippers, for sure. We played at a higher level against the Clippers at that game. And Siakam was playing in that game for us. And that was a part of it. But yeah, it is what it is. Each game's different. I wish we had played better last night. I wish that it looked more like the one in LA and we had won, but that wasn't to be. We got what we got. Chris is saying, just be thankful we got decent players and picks for the rebuild for Pascal and OG. Raptors have a future now. Big deal. The team can't win at the moment. Enjoy the development cheered on. Yes. Siakam gone has ruined our competitiveness for the rest of the season. In some ways, everything we're going to get for Siakam is in the future. And in some ways, we're at a deficit now with our team and our talent and our skills, but not for long. It's only right now before we get those players to be named or any of the dealings with Bruce Brown and those first-round picks, whatever. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get stuff for this. And in the future, in the years to come, they're going to say this is who they got as a result of that Siakam trade. And they're going to be like, wow, look at the haul that they got for him. It's like any trade that's happened in the past. You look at over time what those picks and those things become, and then you gauge how the trade was then. In some ways, we cannot gauge the Siakam trade in any kind of way until those draft picks are dealt with and decided who they are and what they're going to be and who they are on the team. And then people can fairly gauge, like, okay, this is what we got from Siakam. Wow. Actually, I feel really good about the trade now because I see the tangible players on the team and just who they are and how skillful and talented they are. So, I mean, that's the way to look at it. I like Chris starting his comment with just be thankful we got a good, decent deal for Siakam. In some ways, I agree. Some people are very cloudy on who won that deal because of part of what I just said. In some ways, people think that the Raptors won this deal already, even though Siakam's playing so amazingly for Indiana. They're just looking at the whole parameters of it. They're like 3 first picks for Siakam. Holy crap, the Raptors did awesome. And I wish more Raptors fans would look at it that way with the foresight of knowing that the picks have to be decided. And that will determine the successfulness of the Raptors side of the Pascal trade. So, yeah, that's a lot of it right there. A lot of it. I like your sentiment of this be thankful and let's enjoy the development and cheer it on. I love that, Chris. You go. I'm going to give you a dunk for that. I think that that's a really, really important kind of sentiment to have very prominent around the Raptors right now if you're a fan of this team. Let's see. Monique is saying, hit the like and subscribe button. Best Raptor Freak family crew ever. There is. Thank you, Mo. And you're a huge, huge part of it. All right. Van Hoot is here. Basketball Rewind is here. To be fair, American media is much harsher than ours. Yeah, I'd say that's an accurate statement. They are. I mean, there are more harsher on us. Some people have said that our media corps is cream puffs. I don't know if that's exactly true. In some ways, I'd rather have an asshole like in the Philadelphia media that is a known asshole and deal with them than the smiling kind of bullshit of Michael Grange, where he's like, I'm going to be charming and I'm going to act like I'm your friend, but I'm really kind of a fucking frenemy. And I'm going to come and ask really fucked up things to you. And in some ways, we're going to keep a professional level because I'm smiling and I'm supposed to be here. And you're going to have to like me and even though you probably want to wring my neck and cuss me out right now. Yeah, I don't like those kind of people. In some ways, I'd rather just have a straightforward, you're a dick and you're asking me the questions than these gaslighting, I'm trying to be your friend or smile, come and talk to you in a smiley way. But I'm actually a dick also on the down low. In some ways, the U.S. media is a little more apparent that they are snakes, and these guys are undercover snakes on our media. No, I think this is a fair point, Kenyon. I do think this is a very fair point. Let's see. Fun guy saying, I will get blitzed for the trade deadline, though. Laugh out loud. That's like Christmas in the NBA. It's so fun and nerve-wracking, a truly stressful day. It doesn't have to be this way. This has been completely manufactured by the media guys. Dennis is right. It's disgusting how the media has made the trade deadline an event every year now, that they really utilize it in certain ways. Now, some of the teams that are doing well, it doesn't become a problem. The teams that are in trouble and struggling, well, it's just an unnecessary distraction on top of everything. Once again, and Dennis said this in his interview the other day, this wasn't a thing a few years ago. This is a made up media thing now. And in some ways, it's something nobody ever wanted. The fans didn't necessarily want it. The fans that enjoy the trade deadline and get all crazy about it, it sounds like Fun Guy has to get drunk to deal with it, are weird. They're weirdos. The people that really enjoy the trade deadline and are all into like figuring out, these are the nerds that are on the trade machines and doing stupid shit. Fucking just go play your NBA 2K and simulate a season and run your team on the video games if you're into that kind of shit. Stop trying to transpose your powers and will on the real game. Go do it in the video game. That's why they have simulations in video games for you to get that fucking shit out of you. So all you people that are trade machine heads and love the trade kind of shit, oh my God, you are not really NBA fans if you ask me. You're just weird little, like, I want to have control transaction misers. And fuck you guys for enjoying the trade deadline period. I don't think the players enjoy it. I don't think the coaches enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. And I think most real fans of the NBA do not enjoy this period of time. It's like, oh, yeah, let's remind all of y'all that you're commodities. You're not actually all totally looked at as human beings with hearts and feelings. You're actually like something that can be sold at the market, like a cow. Let's just remind these guys. Oh, that's great, media. Yeah. Can we remind you that the trade deadline is looming over your heads and that you guys could be traded and your whole lives could be uprooted at any moment and it's not even your choice? Yeah, and you could get traded to Charlotte and really hate it like Kyle Lowry. What the fuck? Does anybody want to hear that in an interview in their face for weeks coming up to the trade deadline? No, they don't. So media, just let it go. Seriously, y'all could be better at your jobs and figure out better ways to write about things than just being little cheap, putting bullshit out like this. Like, seriously, do you really need the trade deadline to figure out what you can write about? You losers. Seriously, you need that every year. Make it an event. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Country Kong saying, I wish I could enjoy the development, but Bruce Brown played 31 minutes. Dennis played 28, and I watched Thad play for 24. Grady gets the scraps, 21 minutes. Can we at least see Kyra Lewis? No, we've seen Kyra Lewis. Now, I've seen him on the G League. Go watch that game. You want to watch Kyra Lewis? You can watch him at 2 o'clock today. Yeah, you can see Kyra Lewis. He's getting the same development he was getting with the Pelicans, with us. He's at the right level.
You're not going to see Kyra Lewis come out there and play 20 minutes in the Raptors game. He's not ready for that. He's not good enough for that. In some ways, I don't know. Country Kong, we don't tell the team how high to jump. No, we don't. You let them do their jobs. Coach Darko knows the right balance of things. In some ways, he would have played Jonte probably more last night, but Jonte's eye was messed up, so Thaddeus had to play more. I mean, I can give you reasons for all the reasons why the minutes distribution is. We're playing a veteran team last night, one of the most veteran teams in the league, maybe the most veteran team in the whole entire league. In some ways, we need to have vets out there to battle the knowledge and expertise. We might have gotten routed by 50 points last night if we played only a 23-year-old lineup yesterday. God forbid we only play all the youngsters against all those old heads and they absolutely school us. So forgive me for being like, yeah, playing Bruce Brown, playing Thaddeus Young, that's smart. That's smart because at least we have a fighting chance to try and compete and try and win. You throw all those youngsters against those old-ass Clippers, they're getting 8 alive. I mean, that's part of it. Part of it is the matchup. If you want to specifically just look at last night, well, understand it's the Clippers, man. It's the Clippers. You got to play your vets against vets. So, I mean, let's not get nitpicky, Country Kong. And if they don't jump to the exact inches that you want them to jump to with the minutes distribution, oh, well, God forbid they didn't cater to you, JB. It's the coach's decision. He knows the best. He understands the best. And let's not get nitpicky like this. You're getting nitpicky about minutes. You could be getting nitpicky about points. We don't get nitpicky about this. We don't. And we can't change it anyway. And what you're trying to portray is kind of dumb anyway. Because in the future, there's going to be lesser opponents going to play like Charlotte, Washington. And you're going to see all these guys that you wanted to play more last night get those minutes. Trust me. So let's just take it game by game. And the opponent may gauge this. And the Clippers are a high-level team. We can't get away with playing Kara Lewis for 30 minutes. You're crazy. You're crazy. Let's see. Basketball Rewind saying, I feel like we may need to rebrand each new Raptors era. Gets a rebrand, and we should get one soon. Also, no more Chevron jerseys. Maybe Toronto forever. Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you, Kenyon, in certain ways. They already did that. They rebranded it with the new open gym last night. New era. And then Will Lewis saying his out-of-pocket statement, which I don't agree with. The legacy and culture that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan started in Toronto should survive and continue and thrive. In some ways, what they did was they carved out a place in the league where there's a little bit more respect for the Toronto Raptors franchise. There was no respect for our team during after the Carter era and Bosh era. There was very much little respect for the Raptors as a whole in the NBA. Well, that's the biggest effect that Kyle and DeMar had. They demanded respect for our team, and they built it. They built it over the 10 years or so up to the championship. And then we had the championship. We still have the respect. Well, the dismantling of our championship team and the way it's happened, they're trying to disrespect us to get us back to that point where we were with Bosh. In some ways, I'm not really willing to let that go and say, oh, we're letting go of the respect that Lowry and DeRozan built up for our franchise. I believe that shit doesn't go away. That if you have the culture and that kind of shit is embedded in your team, as far as with a figurehead like Masai, who's been here the whole time, that you shouldn't let disrespect seep back in for your team just because some people left. No. And I feel like that's part of what some of the people want for the Raptors at this point, with hardly any of our champions on our team anymore. And the whole idea that the DeRozan, Kyle Lowry era of respect and culture is over. No, I don't want to have an open period where now people are going to just disrespect us. No, we need to get that respect back, and we need to continue to hold it. And Scotty Barnes is the one who will carry that, and he will. RJ Barrett alongside him, for sure. Yeah, this is a new era. It's the BBQ era. We can rebrand it that. Now, I'm not with you on the Chevron thing. The Chevron jerseys are very good. They're very iconic. Some people hate them, but honestly, that's just your personal choice, Kenyon. And in some ways, not everybody's going to agree with you. Some will and some won't. I like them. I think they're a very clean design. In fact, I love the championship ones. In some ways, you telling me that you're anti-Chevron is telling me like this is a linkage to our championship team because we won the championship in a Chevron jersey. So what? You want to erase the memory of our championship team even further by taking Chevron jerseys away from the team? That's what it sounds like to me. Well, why not? Let's just get rid of the championship look to our team too and all the championship players. Go ahead, Kenyon. Keep pushing us away from our championship memories, just like the NBA main and all the fuckers in the media also. Yeah, Kenyon, you go ahead. You anti-Chevron, go ahead. But that's my stance on it. I like them, and I hope they continue to have them. How about that? Toronto forever because of Siakam? Maybe. I don't know. That's kind of a silly saying because it's not true, obviously, because it's not true. Toronto forever in our heads and Toronto forever in his heart, but not in the jersey, unfortunately. Nako's saying, I think Rozier can have some pretty solid offensive games, and Jaime is a solid rookie. I love Kyle Lowry. Spo's still the best coach in the league. I agree with the last part. I love Kyle Lowry. I think that Jaime is a solid rookie. Rozier is interesting because he fits Heat culture very well, and I think he'll do well there. But we'll see. We'll see. In some ways, I don't think they're better with Rozier than Lowry. In some ways, I've predicted that since this happened. We'll see. Kevin's saying, give Kyra Lewis some minutes. Let's see what he can do. Well, I've seen him in the G League, and he's interesting. He's not a very clean player. He's not very well-rounded in some ways. In some ways, he's not ready for the NBA, y'all. Watch him today at 2 o'clock. G League, Grand Rapids Gold, Raptors 905, 2 o'clock. He'd probably be playing there, and you can see him more on that level. In some ways, he can't shoot, first of all. And the other thing is he's a hybrid guard. This is what Darko was talking about. He's a flex guard. He's not a true point guard. He's not big enough to be a shooting guard. He's in one of those limbo positions, in between positions. Once again, we know our history with flex guards with Kyle and Fred. And in some ways, there's something serviceable about that. But in some ways, I don't like flex guards. I'd like you to either be a point guard or a shooting guard and kind of lean towards one or the other. If he's going to pass the ball to people, I want him to get really good at passing the ball to people. If he's going to be a scorer for us, well, I want him to be a very good scorer. I don't want him to be kind of in between in some ways. And I know that Emmanuel Quickley is kind of a flex guard right now, but he's at a higher level and he's a certain way. If you want to see Kyra, watch at 2 o'clock. Basketball Rewind saying, if Lowry goes to Philly, will you root for Philly then? Well, you know what, Kenyon, I'm going to fact check you right now since you're always coming in and checking me with your shit. He can't go to Philly. He's legally not allowed to. There's a list of teams that Kyle Lowry is not allowed to go to for certain reasons in the rules of the trade and stuff. And the Philadelphia 76ers are on that list. So there's not a possibility of this happening, just so you know. The Celtics are also on that list. He cannot go to the Celtics either. There's a very extensive list, and most of them are the top teams that Kyle Lowry is not allowed to go to by the rules of whatever. I'm not exactly sure what the exemptions are, why. It has something to do with something, but there are 9 teams that he is not allowed to get traded to right now. And that may be part of the problem with why he hasn't moved yet. And I know the Sixers and the Celtics are both on that list, and he cannot be traded to either of those teams. So, yeah, I'm not going to root for Philly then. Fuck that. I would not, even if Kyle Lowry's on that team. I didn't root for Miami. Well, if Kyle was on Miami, why the fuck would I root for him for Philly? Seriously. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Basketball Rewind is also saying, Kevin, he has not currently shown much at the NBA level or even at G League level consistently. Marred with injuries and at the end of a rookie scale deal. Give me more Grady Dick minutes instead, please. I'm with Kenyon on this one. Yeah, Kyra is not here for, in some ways, he's not part of the future. He's an expiring contract on a really bad rookie deal that we're just eating. And in some ways, we're eating it up. And really the value of Kyra is this money comes off the books this summer. He's a free agent. He goes away. That we get that money freed up in our salary cap. So in some ways, investing in Kyra Lewis Jr. is not happening. He's not a part of our future, y'all. Y'all may think he is, but he isn't. We may test it out and see. But I don't see it. I don't see it. And I think Kenyon's right here. As far as Grady Dick should be getting those minutes over him for sure, is what I'll say. And he's exactly right with his assessment scene. He has not shown much at the NBA level or even the G League level consistently. That's exactly right. Kenyon's exactly right on that. Kevin's saying, I think Grady's minutes are going to increase once Bruce gets traded. Exactly. We are not going to be winning anything this season, so might as well give Kyra some minutes. Well, they might. They might give him some time to showcase. But once again, I'll stand by what I just said. His money comes off the books. We're not going to pay him anywhere near what he was paid this year. It was a bad contract. In some ways, that's why he's on our team right now, is because he's expiring and the money will be freed up this summer. So a lot of the stuff that's happening right now is not for the long term. We're still kind of in the middle of a transition from the OG and Pascal trades into the next era. And that new era probably won't start until training camp. The whole rest of the season is going to be very confusing and weird and a lot of losing and really not anything that y'all are going to think, like, as far as like even Wara may not be a part of our future either. He's on an expiring contract also. Basketball Rewind saying, I honestly don't think I see Kyra playing more seasons than Joe Wieskamp at this point. Got to invest in the longer term future. Sorry, when he shoots more than 2 for 14 on the 905 consistently, sure. See, I don't always agree with Kenyon, but I'm exactly with him on Kyra Lewis. He's exactly right. I think that in some ways he's spot on exactly in this comment in all kinds of ways. And let's see, he's also saying Gary is hang on. I jumped ahead, and y'all give me a cutoff because I'm at Adriana's and I do want to be done. It's almost noon already. Gary is who he is. He is the new version of Terrence Ross. His streaky struggles to consistently contribute beyond scoring. If the shot isn't working, it's not ideal. Yeah, I'm totally with Kenyon on this one also. It's like if he contributed in other ways on the court more, I would see the value in him being around. But if we're at the mercy of his consistency of shooting on whether he's a valuable player to play, we're going to get burned on certain nights. It's just like a dead note on the piano. Sometimes it'll hit and you'll hear the tone, but sometimes you'll hit it and you won't hear any noise. We need to at least be getting some sort of either assists, extra special defense and steals, or rebounds from him just to help fill in those minutes if he's not hitting his shot. In some ways, it sucks. You call him this version of Terrence Ross. I call him this version of John Starks, is what I call him. Isaac saying, what? Pirtle? And now Porter is injured. All right, Grady at starting center. Let's grow. Shout out to Milky. Isaac, you're funny. Yeah, Porter's eye injury. And in some ways, I'm surprised that he got put out of the game for that because he played with the eye injury in the other game, I think, for a little bit. Then they didn't bring him back. That's right. Yeah, Grady's not going to play starting center. Come on, Isaac. Jimmy's saying more minutes, more production, more opportunities, and that's facts. Yeah, of course. If you're out there, you get them. But if they're hollow minutes, you're not giving them good per. If you're not doing enough around there, well, why should you get more minutes later? That's what I'm saying. In some ways, you earn those minutes by producing. If you're not producing, well, why are we going to continue to play you? Just to expect you to finally hit shots at some point? Let's see. Jimmy saying, especially for someone that needs to get in a rhythm. I understand this, and I want him to get in the rhythm. But in some ways, his preparation and what he's doing for the game needs to get him out there and ready to hit shots as immediately as he gets out there. And I'm telling you, there's too often that Gary's coming out and he's a dead note. He's just missing. Then the shots that he's missing are very easy shots, honestly. That is part of the problem. If he was missing shots because he has hands in his head, hands in his face, if he has like some physicality coming and hit him, no. In some ways, his release has gotten slower this year. Last year, he was quicker to get that ball up and shoot it quicker. Right now, he's waiting a second, and the defense is collapsing on him too soon. In some ways, he's second-guessing what he's doing too much. If he could get more in the flow of just being and doing, that might be better for Gary. In some ways, he's kind of stopping himself and waiting a half second, and boom, the defense has come to him before he would just shoot it and put it up. Right now, he's second guessing whether he's take the shot. I don't know if that's the effect of Darko's system and him thinking about whether he needs to pass or what it is. But his shot release is slower this year than it was last year. He would catch and shoot a lot quicker. In some ways, that's something that's important. That's something that Grady's got that's pretty good, like a quick catch and release. Like Del Curry could catch that ball when he played for the Raptors back in the day, the father of Steph. He could catch that ball and he would release it and shoot it so quick. And that was part of the reason why Del Curry was such an amazing NBA pro. In some ways, Gary Trent, Grady Dick, they need to have a quick release. And in some ways, Gary's release is slower this year. I don't even understand exactly why it is. Is he second guessing? Is he not totally confident? Is that why? I think that's what it is. Jimmy's saying, yeah, it's all love, Lex. I'm never mad at you, my guy. I love you too, Jimmy. You are awesome. And listen, this is part of what we need to do. Is there's going to be little places where you don't totally see eye to eye. Well, we discover and learn more from it. I want you to know that I love Gary Trent Jr. He has a dog named Six. He is a real one. He absolutely loves Toronto, and he is a real one and a loyal one to the city, and I honor him and cherish him for that. And however long he is a Raptor, I will celebrate and be so happy. In fact, the fact that he is still a Raptor right now, it makes me very happy because he could have opted out. He could have gone somewhere else. There's all kinds of other options where he could have been traded. And no, Gary's still on our team, and that makes me happy. I want him to be here. I want him to stay on this team. I feel like him and Scotty have a good chemistry and a connection that's valuable. I just want him to be more successful. That's all. That's all. And was saying, I agree, Lex. Gary needs to make his shots. That's his only job. It's not like he provides us with anything else: rebounds, assists, steals. Stop babying him, y'all. He is consistent. Yeah. I mean, listen, either way, we just want him to play better because we love him. That's what it is right there. Jimmy, I love you too, man. Chris is saying these players are making huge money. They are not depressed. Laugh out loud. Yeah. In some ways, they got to put on the show. In some ways, they may be out on the bench. They're still out in front of the public. And then they get in the locker room. And they're all like, hey, smiling and happy. Maybe a little bit different back there. I'm probably not totally like that. But they have to find happiness outside of the game of their lives. They can't just live the game. Some of them do. Some of them are absolutely depressed and miserable after they've been losing a lot, and it's just really difficult to be around them. In some ways, it's better to have balance in your life and get away from it and be able to recharge and not kind of like dwell and think about all the stuff that's going on in your NBA career. That's why it's good to have other hobbies or interests. You know, Scotty wants to play video games for a while to forget about losing with the Raptors. That's good. If somebody wants to paint a picture, somebody wants to go for a walk, somebody wants to do whatever hobby or activity helps them keep their mind off of things with the team, that's probably healthy. It's probably very, very healthy. Yeah. Let's see. Jimmy's going to give us a note here. Just letting y'all know, we only have 40% shooters on our team, and it's Gary and IQ. The rest of the team needs to pick it up and get better consistency. I see what he did. I don't know if he's totally accurate, but let me go look. I'm going to fact check him real quick. I'm going to go look at our stats as a team really fast and see if he's exactly right. He might be right. I just want to fact check him real quick. I'm going to fact check you, Jimmy, because I don't know if that's exactly true. You're talking about from 3, right? You're talking about from 3. We want to clarify this. Okay, yeah, I see it. I see Emmanuel 44% and Gary 41.5%. That's true. I like that. But you know what's weird is that Gary's shot percentage, okay, all right, you know what? In some ways, that is good for the threes, but this is the thing. We need them to make them. We just need them to. We just do. That in some ways, I'll counterbalance this by saying what Infamous said. He has one job. And in some ways, we're going to really focus on that one job with him because that is his one job. That's the one thing he does. And in some ways, that may not be totally fair. But the other thing is, once again, I'll say that the lack of making open shots is the infuriating thing. I can take him missing because he's got a hand in his face or there's defenders or some sort of interference. But when he is wide open and he misses the shot, that is infuriating. That is the part that I have a problem with. But your stat is right. I have to agree with it. And, well, who knows? Maybe some of these other guys will shoot better than him next year. I don't know. I want him to be better, though. All of them. Jimmy's saying a big majority of top statistical three-point shooters don't average high rebounds and stats. Just look at stats. We can't wish for everything unless you're a guy like KD or Kawhi. I mean, that's fair to a degree, but that's not totally accurate. Most players in the league have a couple of different things they do for the team to help. And in some ways, we can make the argument, Gary's got the threes, and in some ways, he's got the defense and the steals. I will give him those two things. Jimmy's saying, just take a look at yourself. Go look at the top 10 three-point shooters and tell me what their average for assists and rebounds. It depends on the different players. For sure. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, Jimmy. I love that you're standing up for Gary. Country Con saying, I apologize for being negative, Lex. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I accept the season being developmental, but I feel we could be leaning into it more, investing our remaining NBA minutes. I'm with you, and I think we're going to see this more and more. It's maybe just like a morphing kind of thing and kind of going towards that direction more and more. JP, you're awesome. I know you're a very positive, awesome person from meeting you in person. And it's just the way I read your text. I was like, oh, man, that just makes it sound like I'm so sad. And I, in some ways, I really do believe that self-talk can really shape our worlds. And everybody, when you listen to that little voice in your head, is it nice to you? Is it your friend? That's what you need to find out. Is if that little voice in your conscience that's kind of talking to you, if it's negative and putting you down, you need to change that because you need yourself to be your own friend. It's like your own little voice should be on your side and not really kind of like telling you, yeah, you're horrible. Yo, why did you do that? You're always messing up. You are a loser. Like if your mind is telling you that kind of stuff, train it to not do that. It'll be a really helpful key to helping you to be a happier person. It really is something that people don't realize, that your self-talk can shape your happiness. And also, you got to understand, sometimes your self-talk is really critical on yourself, like I am being towards Gary Trent right now. And it's not fair. In some ways, like, you can be the biggest critic to yourself. And if your self-talk is telling yourself, like, you're a piece of shit, how could you screw this up? You loved her. She's gone forever. Whatever, that kind of shit. You want to really game it so it's on your side. In some ways, you want your self-talk to sound like me talking about the Raptors, building you up, putting you high. It's like, listen, I may not have got it this time, and I may have not made this successful this time, but I'm going to get it next time. Or like, you know what? You may not have done this well, but you know what? You do this really well in this other aspect of your life. It's like you can focus, just like perception, focusing on negative or positive things in your life will shape whether your life is happy. Well, your self-talk to yourself will help shape whether your life is positive or negative. So if you recognize you have negative self-talk, change it. You have that power, and you may see astounding changes in your life just because your self-talk got switched from negative to positive, and your self-talk is actually reinforcing and helping you achieve and be more happier and successful in life. So there you go, right there. JP, you're awesome. And I know you're so giving and positive towards everybody else. Maybe you're giving all your positivity to other people. Give it to yourself, my man. And really think about your self-talk. I'm sure your self-talk's already really good, but we could always improve in certain areas. And like, it really is a kind of, when you have a thought occurring of opinion of yourself inside your head, well, think about if it's really fair and if it's necessary. Sometimes we beat ourselves up and we don't really need to. It's not like necessary at all. That's something you got to realize too. Stargate saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. At what point will people have enough of this anti-Raptor NBA mandate, Ed Rogers mandate, Hockey Nation mandate? Just shrugging it off as it is what it is not acceptable anymore. I love this attitude. And in some ways, I want to be less apathetic about all this stuff. It's evident when like somebody like RJ Barrett's going to get misnamed on his own hometown TV, RJ Barnett. That kind of stuff is just defeating, and just like, what the fuck? Why are you doing this disrespect to our team and who we are? I mean, in some ways, it's us also shaping what we're taking in. In some ways, I don't have time for the anti-Raptor shit at this point. I live in my world. I live in a world where I know you guys exist. I know the team exists. And I know that we're trying to win and that Masai Ujiri is still in charge. And that's all I care about. Every single talking head that's on ESPN, that's on TSN, that's on TNT, that's on Sportsnet, everywhere, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what they're saying. I don't listen to the radio shows. I don't listen to any of that anymore. I watch the basketball games myself. I enjoy them myself. I watch them myself, and I have my own opinions. And in some ways, I've cut out all that shit, and I don't even need to hear it. In some ways, I hear it and I see it and I'll talk about it on here, but some of it, I don't really pay attention to it at all. And that's really part of it. It's like, listen, in some ways, it's like that old thing. The tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it. Does it fall? Well, let those media people not get your attention. And then you don't even have to see it. And it may shape other things and be around us, and we have to deal with it indirectly still. But at least in your life, you're happier. Now, if we want to figure out how to deal with this, and we're saying this is not acceptable anymore, well, that's the place where you say, well, what can I change about this? What do I have control over this? Well, do you want to take control? Do you want to write them stories? Do you want to write letters? Do you want to tell them how you feel about this? Maybe that can change something. You take what you can do under your control and you try and change it. That's the best way to do it. If not, you have to accept how it is and just work within those rules and make the best of it also. So there's options. There's different options. Most saying, keep up the great streams, Lex, and let's try and keep climbing. That's right. I'm with that. Kevin's saying Harden got 3 first-round picks too. Some people were down on him, but to me, he's still a valuable player. He's going to be a huge key for the Clippers if they win this year. If they win the championship, James Harden could actually end up being the MVP of it. I'm telling you, he's the point guard in that team. And he really is a hub in a lot of different ways and doing the good things that the Clippers are doing right now. So, yeah, it's interesting that Harden got 3 picks for him also. And Siakam's at the level of Harden. Stargate saying these young players now are a different breed than the players we grew up with, Lex. These players now are overly sensitive and have a sense of entitlement, unfortunately. I don't know if that's exactly true with every one of them. I'm sure a lot of them that's true. but I don't think you can just like paint a wide brush and just say all of them are. There's some old school like throwback people too in this league that are, old school mentality. It's like you can't just say a whole generation's the same. There's going to be people in that generation that have 50s mindset, that have 70s mindset, that 80s mindset, 90s mindset, 2000s mindset. There's people that are old souls in every generation that don't fit in their generation. So, I could look at somebody like Anthony Edwards, and even though he's made some boneheaded statements outside the game and stuff, but there's a lot of things he's doing the right way in his generation that isn't exactly like everybody else in this generation. And I could say maybe Scotty's the same way too, that there's some things about Scotty that are special that may not be like this exactly. We can't just paint all of them as being sensitive in their head, kind of emotional wrecks. They're varied. They're all different. Let's see. Babe, can you give me 5 more minutes? I'm almost done. I know she's hungry. She wants to make dinner or lunch. I'm going to get in there with her and eat in a sec. Stargate saying, we all know what the NBA is trying with Scotty and the no calls, etc. It's quite obvious their manipulation of this young man's mind is fucked up and needs to be put on blast, more like Darko did. Yeah. Scotty needs to be aware of it and know it and understand it. In some ways, he's that kind of guy that's like, you give me whatever challenge in front of me, I'm going to kick ass and go through it. And that's the way he kind of has to look at it. In some ways, he knows it's unfair. In some ways, it is an insidious way of the NBA to train him to not want to be in Toronto and try and get him to go to another team. I get all that. But in some ways, listen, it's special. In some ways, if he could win a championship here like Kawhi did, it would mean so much. Oh, my gosh. And he knows that. Listen, I'm not going to put any ideas about what Scotty's thinking or where he's thinking about all this. I'm just going to say this. He's a competitor. He loves being in the NBA. He loves suiting up and doing everything about NBA lifestyle. He's going to continue to do his best. He's also shown extreme loyalty for Florida State, even though he's only went there for 1 year at Florida State. And he is very much a very ensconced Florida State Seminole and ride or die with them in all kinds of ways. So if he's going to be like that for Florida State for just 1 season of being on that team, how do you think he feels about his first ever NBA team in Toronto and being Canada's team and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, he takes it seriously. So the loyalty that Scott has towards the Raptors may shock some people later on in his career. Either way, it may shock me that I'm wrong, and it may shock the other people that they're wrong, that Scotty's just trying to escape Canada to go to the U.S. Because I don't think that's true. I think that Scotty takes the responsibility of being the franchise player for the Raptors very seriously, and that he's going to enjoy the development in the timeline of how it happens, hopefully, because it'll be successful. And Masai will put everything around him that'll make him work. In some ways, the failings of what y'all have said, they didn't build the right team around Siakam for him to succeed. Well, they're not going to get it wrong with Scotty. Watch. They're going to make sure they put things right around him to make sure he succeeds. I'll tell you that right now. Kevin's saying, Pascal had a great game. Seen the highlights. Solid win against the Suns. Yeah, that's a big win. Siakam does well against the Suns. We beat the Suns earlier this year with him, partly because of that. That's just a team for some reason that we've got their number, or at least Siakam does. That's for sure. Yeah. Kareem saying, us as Raptors fans need to embrace this journey. The NBA is always about the climb. The Raptor dinosaur is rare, but it won't go extinct. Again, anyway, we lost the game, but at least we didn't lose 83 million. Wow. I don't even understand that completely, Kareem, but I'm going to keep moving because I got to get done. Thank you for no more comments. I'm going to read Stargates as the last one. Sonny's here. Good to see Sonny Mahal. Hey, Lex, the game last night was tough, but it's wins and lessons. Met a lot of people last night. William Liu, Sherman Hamilton, and the LA Clippers, Daryl, and Fan First Network. Cool, man. Cool. You're saying Daryl. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Is that like a fan or is that a player? All right. You saw William Liu last night? Sherman Hamilton's awesome. He's awesome. Sonny, I'm glad you had a good time in the game. And you got to see a whole bunch of people at it. That's fantastic. Chris is saying, no doubt, it's corporatism. And the biggest of them all is the bank. They're the corporations. That's my point. Anyway, I paid out for tickets to see what was the Raptors. I need a $50 rebate at the door. You already got a ticket? You want the money back. That's what you're trying to say? Okay. Sonny's saying, if the Clippers stay healthy and they can be really dangerous, they played so well last night. Kawhi is a beast getting to his spots. Yeah, I'm not going to count them out. I feel really good about their chances this year. If they're going to be going against any of the Eastern teams I hate, I want them to win. If they're going to be playing the Celtics or the Sixers in the finals this year, I want the Clippers to kick their ass. Yeah, I do. In fact, that would be interesting to see the Sixers versus the Clippers, Kawhi versus Nick. Yeah, I'll be going for him, and especially James Harden in that situation. That would be hilarious. Stargate saying, I hear you, Lex. It's just that it is what it is statement kind of irks me when I hear people use it. To me, it's very defeatist and denotes acceptance. I know. And in some ways, I'm with you. But I'm kind of like, it is what it is until I find a solution, and then I go with it. If you can figure out a solution and you can tell me it, I will get behind you and I will change my apathy. But in some ways, I don't know how we can change this or have that kind of situation happen to have it change. In some ways, it may be like Messiah has more power in trying to change this. And whatever we can do to help him, to support him, is in a way helping to try and fight this. I don't know. It's really, we got to search our souls and figure out how can we help in this situation and not just be apathetic and saying it is what it is. Like, I'm with you. I want to get up about this. But in some ways, the best way to be okay for the time being is to be apathetic in the moment. But if the opportunity comes up where you can jump up and make that change, realistically, you go do it. So yeah, you can lead me in this way, Stargate. If you can think of some ways and brainstorm on this and figure out some ideas, I'll get behind you. I'll champion them. I'll promote them on this channel. Because in some ways I get what you're saying, but I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know how to do it. Maybe me existing and talking about it on here is the first step. In some ways, maybe the light bulbs of different Raptor freaks in the family start thinking about it. Boom, all of a sudden we problem solve Thursday think tank kind of style. And all of a sudden that is. Maybe that's what our Thursday think tank should be. Let's brainstorm on ideas on how to fix these issues that we're talking about today, right there. Yeah, Stargate, awesome stuff. I love that you don't want to take it as just say, yeah, it is what it is. I love that you're like, I'm not willing to do that, Lex. That is awesome. In some ways, I'm giving you a 3-pointer for that, because that's the kind of fight and the way we should be talking. We really should. I don't want to sound like I'm defeatist, but I'm also trying to be realistic and just survive in the ecosystem of what's going on. Sonny's saying it's a super fan for LA Clippers. He travels for every game. That's right. I've heard the name Daryl. LA Clippers Daryl, the fan guy. Yeah, he's like a super fan, and he travels for the team. Awesome, Sonny. I love that. All right, it was a tough game. The Raptors lost by 20 to the Clippers. It sucks. The referees for today's game at 2 o'clock, Grand Rapids Gold versus Raptors 905, J.D. Rawls, Kelsey Reynolds, and Jacob Barnett. Yeah, my 3 stars for the game last night for the Raptors were R.J. Barrett, Thaddeus Young, and Dennis Schroeder. I'll do the Instagram stories just really quick. Dennis Schroeder has his kids on blast. They're wearing new gear for supporting his basketball team in Germany. So you guys can get some nice teddy bear shirts, it looks like, with Junior Schroeder there wearing and there's a hoodies too. Mr. New York City has got some basketball cards signed. He's signing some of his cards and putting them out for people to buy or get. Very, very cool. He's got some cool Marquise Noel Raptors cards, showing them off. I love it. And there's a picture of him with his new haircut. And he seems like he's in good spirits, even though he's been hurt lately. Pascal Siakam is celebrating Obi Toppin for doing the between the legs Vince Carter dunk in transition last night. And he's saying, Obi Toppin, you different. So he's enjoying being with his teammates. There's also a picture of him yelling with Benedict Mathurin in the game last night. Good stuff. Miles Burns is got the Raptors 905 on blast. And he's also saying this, guys, his grandmother passed recently, and he's going through a really tough time right now. He's saying going through a lot, dealing with personal issues, and losing loved ones will make you feel not okay, but it doesn't mean that you won't be okay. If you love them, tell them that you love them. It doesn't matter if it's friends, family, etc. Life is too short. Y'all have a good night. There you go. Miles, my sincere condolences about the passing of your grandmother. And I wish you well in your time right now. And man, what a great message to everybody about dealing with grief and loss and just taking time to deal with it. And also saying, look, I'm going to get through this and it's okay. And tell your loved ones you love them. Great message by Miles Burns. The Raptors 905 are doing a cooking show, it looks like. It's no Walk with Yan, but it's Daryl Morsel and Jay Sean Page cooking up something with the Walk spot over somewhere. Very interesting. I don't know what the 905 cooking show is going to air on, but I'd love to watch that. Cooking with Daryl and Jay Sean. And then we see Kevin O'Banner getting his hair twisted up, getting ready for a game at Throne Barbershop. Kevin O'Banner getting a haircut, hair braided. Very nice. And then the game today, 2 o'clock, is what's listed there. Scotty Barnes has got DMX on. I know Chris Boucher's got DMX on his Instagram stories right now. I'm not sure exactly why. Marquise telling people to vote. and they're celebrating Filipino Heritage Night. Really successful with Preston Pablo performing at halftime. All kinds of great stuff. The anthems and just a great Filipino Heritage Night at the Scotiabank Arena last night. Very, very proud culture. I love seeing the marching band from the other city come out there in their red suits and play the instruments. Really good, fun stuff at Filipino Heritage Night. Proud culture. And I love seeing it getting celebrated in our arena with our team. So good. So good. It's the City of Vaughan Heritage band walking around the arena last night and playing for everybody. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. And let's see. That's it. That's the Instagram stories. I think I'm finished, guys. I really appreciate everybody watching me today. If you have a Yahoo Fantasy basketball team in our fantasy league, please keep up with it and put some stuff in there. Yeah. Let's see. Stargate saying, keep calling out these xenophobic American entities and anti-basketball Canadian entities. There you go, Stargate. I'm with you. That's part of what you want to fight the fight. We'll keep calling them out and telling everybody what they're doing. The mainstream media may not do it, but if more YouTube content creators would get with it like I am and understand this phenomena, maybe we can get more noise and get more things done about it. That's right. Never lose hope. That's the message from Stargate today. And never get into that hole where you say we can't do anything about it. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all a lot. It's 12:20. I better go and eat some lunch with Adriana now. I'll be back tomorrow for a preview of the Atlanta Hawks game in Atlanta. Raptors preview, ref report, latest lineup news, all the good stuff. I appreciate and love every one of y'all. And let's go Raptors. Please like, subscribe, join if you feel like it. Membership has its privileges. Yeah, that's right. Let's go Raptors. And let's not get apathetic. Let's keep our heads up high. And let's figure out a plan on how we can change things for the better. I'm all about that, Stargate. Great comments, man. Yes, let's go Raptors.